Commission meeting on May 29th. And we're waiting for a couple other members. We figure we'll get started and they can join us. Are you folks here for ASH?
Yes.
Yeah, the first two items in
First
your-
item, all right, good. All right, so we'll start with those then. So the first item on the agenda is approval not required for 198 200 Ash Street. Oh, and then we have a public hearing. Okay.
No.
It says 735 public hearing for site plan approval, site plan review.
That's after. Mr. Chairman, if you want to do the A&R plan for Ash Street, and then I actually prepared an A&R plan that's later tonight for South Street, if you want to take it out of order, you could take the South Street A&R as well.
Okay. All right, so let's get started with the A&R for Ash. Oh, and if I could just ask, I always forget this, if anybody hasn't signed in the back, if you could do that, that would be great. Jean?
So this is pretty straightforward. This is a parcel known as Dr. Ravens, and he has owned these two parcels. This was the one that you might remember, the house that was demolished and all the money came pouring out. The previous owner, apparently, I think it was two women that owned the house, and their parents had hidden money away in the house. And it was in the paper when it was demolished, and all the dollar bills were flying, and everyone was grabbing their money. So it's got an interesting past. And so for the past couple of years, it's been, just grass and a driveway. So now the owner would like, Dr. Raven would like to A&R the plan, and then we'll see what his plans are for the site.
Okay. Okay, anything you want to add?
Gene described it well. We're just trying to take two lots, combine it into one, and that melds into the public hearing that follows.
Okay, and so normally we get, and I didn't see it in my package at home, did George write us something here? Normally
He did prepare a memo, and that is on your desk packets,
Page 8? Oh, here it is. Okay. So the only question I had was, one of the drawings I thought, where the building, we're doing the A&R for Ash first. So where the wood frame structure is, see that property goes all the way to it's a triangle, goes all the way to the corner there. The building here. This lot here, lot.
Right. 198.
Okay. Okay, and so then the request is to combine lot 9 and lot 8. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, okay. So
Is it 198,202 or is it 198,200?
It's 198, and then there was a two-family on the lot on the right, which was 200-202.
Okay.
And then that house got demoed 4 years ago or so. So basically, it's two separate parcels of land under common ownership. In order for Dr. Ravens to do the addition that we're going next on the site plan, he needs to eliminate that line. So we're making two lots into one.
That's fine.
So-
I'm just saying there's a difference. There's a
Oh, I see, so lot A is the whole thing.
one says 202 and then the decision says 200. That's why I just want to get it all right. George's memo says 202.
okay, yeah, we can amend that.
All right, so lot 8 is all the way to the corner. I thought it was two lots here, but it's, right? Yeah, okay. Okay. All right, anybody? Any issues, comments, questions? Can I get a motion?
Move that the board endorse the A&R for 198-202 Ash Street.
Second. All those in favor? Now, is it easier to over to this other A&R or or stick with this parcel? What do people wanna do?
Oh, sorry. That means you'd have to hang around until whenever. Right, the South Street parcel is only here for the A&R.
Correct.
Let's just knock that out.
Get 'em in
Let's
and
knock
out.
that out. All right, you okay with that?
Sure.
Okay,
And those Mylars are here for South Street.
okay. You just sign these?
Mm-hmm.
All right, can I do that after?
Yeah, you can do it after.
All right. So you wanna walk us through this other A&R?
Sure. This one is, sorry, I'm fumbling to get it up here.
I remember this one.
This one is also a, kind of a realigning of the lot lines. At 423 South Street, what they're planning to do is, Mr. Kika owns, what's your address? 427. He's going to be purchasing some land from 423. So that's what's shown here. It's actually two separate parcels that he will be purchasing. And they're identified as parcel A and parcel B.
I don't remember reviewing this in my package.
It's 44.
Yeah, I got 46 here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did we have a memo from George
We
on
do,
this?
and that's on page
47.
47.
Oh, I remember that.
So he mentioned adding a certain notation to the plan, and the plan in your packet, desk packet, does reflect the change. Jack prepared a change, as recommended by George, to indicate what the purpose of the plan is, which is to convey these two slices of land to Mr. Kika.
A and B. Where's A? Sorry, where's A? I see B, I'm not finding A.
A is the slice
Oh, right, the slice
right-
above it, I see that.
the smaller slice.
How do these things get created? How do they get these two little slivers here?
How do we create
Like,
that?
how does this end up like this? It's so weird.
Well, the slivers aren't there.
The slivers are being created.
Oh, the slivers are being created, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought it was to combine them.
So he wants us to add some notation to this drawing, but can we do that?
I already added the notations, so all the math is the same, everything's the same. I added a plan note,
Okay.
and I provided a
On
my
the-
line to Jesse. I sent an electronic copy. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, so I added the plan change.
Okay.
The plan note and all the other math is the same.
Johnny, question?
What's the minimum lot size and, I mean, what's the zone? So, 15.
S15, yeah.
So lot 20, right, so that's a minimum of, S15 is a minimum lot size of
15,000.
15,000.
But,
So,
I mean, neither one of them meet that because they used to be S10.
And they
well, here it says lot 20 is 15,297.
Oh.
2,000 is getting reduced from it. That means the new lot 20A is now under 15,000.
Correct. So I put a note on that lot saying not a building lot. Even with it, the original lot 20 had no frontage.
Yep.
So with land area, it met the definition for lot area, but it never had frontage. It was a landlocked piece.
Mm-hmm.
So we are removing a little over 2,000 square feet, but I put a note that it's not a building lot, which is allowed.
And I guess I understand that it's, that's a good note, cause, we can approve an A&R that doesn't meet zoning, that reduces it, it just may create problems in the future for the landowner. But in this case, since it didn't start out as a lot, as a buildable lot, then, you're not creating any issues.
The owner at 423 wanted to retain that as a non-building lot. Originally, I had them combined. I was combining 19A and 20A. I was gonna make
Yeah.
that into one lot. They wanted to keep it the two separate, so I put the notation for the rear lot to be not a building lot. And just so you know, Mr. Kika's property is registered land. So typically, you see like the parcel A and parcel B, usually those would be merged into his lot. But where we have recorded land versus registered land, those parcels will remain as separate building parcels, but they're both non-building lots as well. But that's why you see it not being combined with his lot at this time.
Anything else?
And I brought up that same kind of comment to George, and he agreed that it's still endorsable under the A&R regulations.
Yep.
Anybody else? Motion?
Move that the board endorse the A&R for 423 South Street.
Second? Anybody?
Second.
All those in favor? Great. All set? I'll give you you take one of the copies, right? Alright. Let me send this on to
Yeah, he has my work. Okay.
Sign the correct one, yes.
Yeah.
Have another pen, perhaps?
That's it. That's all the budget will allow for.
This one wouldn't work, would it? We have to use that. We have to use that phone.
You can give it one shake, but not near the paper.
Oh,
We gotta do this all over again though, so.
Time to rubber bands to spin them so we can get the ink to the
I
bottom.
think you did that before.
Yeah.
And then somebody saw it all with the clip and the rubber band and
Thank you.
asked what that was.
I did it over the weekend, one exploded, so.
Don't go anywhere. Got another one to do. Oh. That's pretty good.
Yeah, usually you can get a little bit, but not too much.
Did someone write the date on that one?
Oh, date it?
Needs to go.
Is that, yeah.
Ah, no.
She's great.
Yeah.
She's.
Yeah, that's what you see it sound.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, that one over there.
I'll give this to South Street, right?
Go, well, that's your goal.
Yeah.
No, wait. No, that's.
Yeah, good enough.
Been there for a while.
Oh, found another rubber band. Here.
Might just be able
Hmm.
to clip them too.
I don't think you want this one.
No.
Dave, actually. You do it? Alright, so we can turn to review the public hearing on Ash. Gene, I think?
Yeah.
So next up on the agenda is the public hearing for the site plan review for 198 200 Ash, and want to read the notice?
Yeah, sure. Public hearing legal notice. Notice is hereby given under section 4.3.3 of the Reading zoning bylaw. The Community Planning and Development Commission, CPDC, will hold a public hearing on Thursday, May 29th, 2014, at 7:35 p.m. in the Selectmen's Meeting Room at Reading Town Hall, 16 Lowell Street, to hear the site plan review application from Dr. Fred Ravens for the property located at 198-202 Ash Street, Assessors Map 17, Lot 9. The applicant is proposing to add a 20-foot by 46-foot addition to the existing building and construct a new parking area to accommodate 14 vehicles. Other improvements include upgrades to the drainage system and new lighting. A copy of the application and associated plans are available to the public in the Community Services Department in Town Hall, Monday through Thursday from 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and Tuesdays from 7:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. Reading Community Planning and Development Commission.
Super, thank you. So for, this is a public hearing, and so just for those of you that have not been to one of these before, the format is that we'll ask staff to introduce it if they wish, and then open it up to the applicant to give us a brief presentation. The board may comment a little bit, but then we'll quickly open it up for public comment. If you're commenting, I think the preference is that the protocol is that the comments would be addressed to the board, and then if there are actually questions that the applicant needs to respond to, then the board would ask the applicant to respond. And then at the end, we will either close the public hearing and go to a vote, or continue it if there are open items to the next meeting. So with that, Jean, is there anything?
Sure. So this is an addition to an existing structure. The addition will be facing the front of the structure to the right. And there'll be added parking on the side of the addition for a total of 22 parking spaces between the lot on the eastern side of the building and the lot on the western side and on the eastern side. Those two parking areas combined will total 22 parking spaces. The note that we included in some of the materials is that there are two large trees that'll be removed as part of this. So landscaping was something we noted in one of the staff reports. But otherwise, I think it's pretty straightforward.
How big are the trees?
They're quite mature.
And where are they located?
They're right in the middle of the lot that we just A&R'd. So where the house was.
In the middle of the parking lot.
Right, they're, I don't know if they show up in the
Aren't they closer to the
existing
front?
conditions.
There's a 14-inch tree here with the X through it that will be removed, and there's a large arborvitae that will be removed there. discussion, I looked at trying to relocate the entrance to try to save the 14-inch tree, and that was Dr. Raven's preference and the little sketch plan he sent me. But it didn't work. He needed this many spaces for his employees. It didn't work for business. So it worked better situating this. I am showing proposed trees to be planted to try to mitigate the loss of that.
So if you had to keep the tree, though, how many spaces would you end up losing?
The existing driveway is over in this area here,
Yeah.
okay? So I would have ended up losing at least 4 to 5 spaces on this side.
Wow.
The driveway would have come up, you have a drive aisle. It didn't work with the additions proposed. You would have had a 24-foot aisle, and then we would have had a lot of extra parking
Yeah.
to get over to the parking spaces. Or I would have had to come in and go at an angle. The alignment of the driveway wouldn't work as well either.
Yeah.
It is a 14-inch tree. It's not a public tree. It's on his property. It's not a town tree
Yeah.
we're taking down. And so we're trying to offset it with a number of plantings, but we're open to talk about additional plantings if that's something we feel is needed.
And one thing, the plantings that went in as part of, Nick will remember, the plaza across the street, when they did that over, it was quite a feat to get the, property owner to put in large street trees on the Ash Street side as well as on the Main Street side. I don't recall exactly what the caliber of the trees were, but they were big trees. So that's been 4 years now, and they've grown a lot even since then. So I think trying to get more of a landscape component in this area, like we've done with other projects, would be certainly in keeping with the goals. Yeah.
Okay. So, do you want to walk us through the?
I'll walk you through it, yes. I'm Nancy Sweeney and the project. So as Jean mentioned, it is a single-story addition to the side of the campus. In 2009, Dr. Ravens purchased the entire building, and we renovated both the second floor and the first floor. And we were here for a minor site plan review at that point in time. So one business, he is now expanding again. It's successful. And we needed to provide 2 more operatories and some more business space. So single-story addition to the side. It will look in keeping with the existing structure, so it will have the same siding, same colors, same trim, a low profile to the roof. What else can I tell you? It is much needed. I think I'll let Jack discuss the site. And thank you for the A&R that makes this possible. We do need, the building is non-conforming to the property, so we are kicked into a zoning special permit situation. So that hearing is coming up next week.
Okay. For the record, my name is Jack Sullivan. I'm owner of the Sullivan Engineering Group. I'll just highlight some of the changes. Do you mind just going to the existing conditions plan for 1 second? Okay. One of the design highlights is if you look at the property now, there's 4 existing curb cuts. As we see in the open, this was the original driveway for the 2-family home that sat on this site. This is the 14-inch tree that will be removed, just so you have some understanding of where that tree will be. On the side of the building, there's an existing paved area where they park. There's an existing dumpster out in back that will be relocated. We can go to the proposal. Okay. So as I showed in the existing conditions plan, there's four existing curb cuts. We're going to eliminate 2 of the curb cuts. So we're taking this from 4 curb cuts down to 2 curb cuts. When we first submitted to the town, we were reducing from 4 to 3. There was a suggestion from the planning department to try to reduce it even further down, so we did so. We'll get into some, the town engineer has a comment on where he'd like to see this entrance located, but for now, it's in this spot. He'd like to relocate it over, which we're comfortable with, but we can get into that. As we stated, this will be a paved parking lot. The site drainage, all the drainage is going to be directed towards the rear of the property. We're using vertical granite curbing throughout the new parking lot. For stormwater control, we're proposing a rain garden. I went out and did soil testing with the engineering department. Highly suitable soils, very gravelly, less than 2 minutes per inch. The problem on this site is it has an extremely high groundwater table. Groundwater was down 32 inches. So a conventional system, when I called George and talked to him about it, typically I try to show, like infiltration, underground infiltration systems, but I would have had to raise this whole site 2 to 3 feet to get the 2-foot separation to the infiltrators, have the coverage. So I looked at doing a low impact design, and George actually recommended that I try this approach. It's one of the first rain gardens I've designed. But so we're typically proposing a rain garden. It will be sited 2 feet above the high groundwater table. It's really just a shallow depression. It's 1 foot to 1.5 foot deep. It's been sized to handle the 100-year storm. There is an emergency overflow on this side that is basically riprap. So when we exceed the 100-year flood elevation in the freak storm, it would overflow. And there's an existing drain that runs behind RMLD. It's a 12-inch drain. Right now, all the drainage is going to this drain. In the drainage report I submitted to the town, I'm showing less water moving to this in the 2, 10, and 100-year storm event. This is also a landscape feature. I showed a detailed planting plan on my detail sheet showing how this area will be planted. Like I said, it's low impact. Water will, I have the parking lot draining to the center line of the lot. It'll move to a riprap level spreader area, so any sediment or anything that's collected will be filtered through this sediment level spreader before it enters the rain garden area. So there is some pre-treatment of total suspended solids before the drainage gets to the rain garden. I did show a proposed snow storage area for this lot. There'd be an asphalt walkway to service to the rear of the building and out towards the existing entrance and handicap ramp along the front. Previously, there's an existing handicap spot over here. I've eliminated that spot from this design. I wanted to formalize it. I provided, I'm not sure it really even met ADA standards over here. It was kind of an existing site conditions when he came in previously for his minor site plan review. There was a spot shown, but we've actually provided an 8-foot wide van access aisle and an 8-foot wide handicap space. So it's more formal. It'll work better with the site. I am showing, like I said, RMLD is on our butter. There's an existing chain link fence. I believe it's 8 feet high that runs along the sideline. We're proposing some plantings. We're trying to retain the existing tree that's there. And my grades match in really well with the existing site grades. There's very little site grading needed to get this parking lot to work properly. As far as the lighting, Nancy, we're not proposing any parking lot lighting. There will be some lighting on the building. Nancy put some details on her plans as far as the lighting on this. There is a light on the utility pole out here as well that provides some light measures.
That's because you get plenty of light from Burger King, is that right? Is that what it is? Notes?
Yeah, Burger King.
Okay, good, so you don't need lights.
Oh, is that-
Excellent.
A lot of light.
That's great. That's what we like to see.
There'll be no new utility connections as far as water or sewer to service this building. Everything will be done internally. There'll be no additional utility cuts in the street. And really, what I looked at is I looked at, this was the developed side, this was the undeveloped side. I did a detailed drainage report showing how we're dealing with the impervious area. And to note, the proposed addition, the roof area will be piped out to the rain garden. So not only am I taking the parking lot, I'm taking the roof area from the addition as well. So from a stormwater component, I think I've covered everything. We are proposing a dumpster. It will be on a concrete pad. It will be screened What did I put for a screen around that, Nancy?
We're doing picket, or fencing, and it will be the same color as the building, so it's a dark brown.
Right.
um,
Right, originally I showed a chain link fence, and if I changed it, I just couldn't remember what I changed it to. But that's what we did, so we tried to match the building. I did put a construction detail noting that on the construction site.
Will that be ink blue, or is it just?
It'll be stained to match the main house, which is the dark brown, so it'll be natural, a natural.
And it'll be lockable, and Dr. Raven says the dumpsters are emptied usually between 7 and 8 o'clock, so before his staff gets in, they're emptied. And I'll turn it over to the board for any questions you might have.
Thank you. So if we go back to the the planner, so, sorry, the next one. So all the water from the very front of this parking lot, goes drains all the way to the back.
Correct. There's a sidewalk here.
Yeah.
If I was pushing any water towards Ash Street, George would have asked me to put in a trench drain,
Right.
collect any water before it went onto the public way. This lot naturally slopes to the rear of the site. That's why I'm holding that slope back. I'm not forcing, the drainage pattern that exists out there is I'm mimicking with my design.
And you can't put a drain in the center because of the high water table, you're saying?
Correct.
Not in the front.
Correct.
Are
So
you
the-
gonna take any water from the street?
I'm not gonna take any water from the street because the gutter line's here, then it goes up onto the sidewalk, and then it steps down to this lot. So there'll be no water. I'm not taking any water from Ash Street. The water will stay in the gutter line of Ash Street.
This feels like a long way for the water to go. Not a-
It may look it, but it's. let's
40
see,
feet,
it's-
I mean, it's not, I mean,
It might be like 80 feet of sheet flow.
It seems like a lot of water to flow down the back, but you've done the calculations.
I've done
It
the
says-
calculations, and I should know, it's at 1% slope, it's a gentle slope, it's not like we're sloping at 5%, it's a gentle slope going back. And I'd have to, like I said, if I went with a conventional
Yeah.
deep sump catch basin with a storm scepter, with underground infiltration, I would've had to bring 2 to 3 feet of fill into the site. It didn't make any sense, and I did, like I said, speak to George about it originally with my concerns, and that's why I came up with this system.
And so, but when I'm looking at the plan, I mean, it's great, you've got the snow area to the left.
Yeah.
But if I'm a snow plower, I'm driving straight back from the front, straight to the back, and I'm pushing it right back into the rain garden. Cause that's easy. That's the easiest way to put it. So what impact would that have if I'm dumping a boatload of snow on this rain garden?
Well, we don't want that. If there's salt or anything that gets in, it could kill the vegetation that's planted there.
Yeah.
There could be a sign posted saying no snow dumping within rain garden, or something so that the snow hauler would know, or Dr. Ravens could talk to his snowplow operator at the beginning of each season, just saying you can't dump snow in there.
I think it's gonna be very difficult to do.
It's difficult all over town.
Yeah, I know.
And what about?
Especially with some of the heavy snow events we've had over the last few years. I mean, people run out of room, it ends up in wetlands, it ends up everywhere.
And then just staying with this rain garden, this is the first one you've done though, is was there some kind of like an O&M plan that needs to go along with it that sort of
I
says
think
this
I
is how?
included that. I actually, for Pizza World, I was doing the same
Okay,
rain garden, but he's going back to the drawing board on
Yeah.
that. But it's relatively a newer technology. You've probably seen some coming in a lot, like DEP and a lot of the municipalities like to see it. It's a low impact, it's a landscape feature. There's very little maintenance to it, and to be honest, that's why I provide the riprap spreader. That takes any of the total suspended solids out, and then really you're just dealing with, water getting in, and that's nourishment for the plants. So there's very little maintenance besides if like trash blew into there, almost like a detention basin. Except it's only 1 foot deep, it looks like a glorified puddle.
That was one of the concerns at Caloriso's, remember? We were concerned that there wasn't be any water at the bottom of theirs. Now, they had residences immediately adjacent that were concerned about mosquitoes. And you said the water table is really high, 32 inches down?
Right, but the bottom of my rain garden is sited 2 feet above the high groundwater table.
So it should be dry, really.
It should be dry, and I'm dealing with like coarse gravel, like, couldn't even hold water. When we ran the perk test, it was, you could put a fire hose in, you couldn't maintain the soak in the hole.
So the water table here is 32 inches below, but you're
Back
2 feet
here.
above, so you've depressed us by 6 inches, basically.
Correct.
No, 8. Sorry, 8. 8 inches.
Yeah, I'm like 8 inches to a foot at most. That's all it is.
You want, should we go to public comment, or do people want to make more comments?
I'm sorry? Oh, I had some comments, or some questions anyways. For the snow removal, Charlie, I really think that they'll maintain it to the left, because if they block it up, the parking lot's gonna flood. And then
That's
they'll
what I
have
worry
a
about.
dangerous situation, which he doesn't want.
That's true. Right, that's what I worry about, it would
They'll
flood, so.
probably only do it once if they
Yeah.
do it. I think he's okay there.
Okay.
So you're only adding 2 operatories, right? Is that what I see? You're not just
Correct,
moving
yeah.
one from
Yes,
upstairs?
sir.
No, adding 2
Adding
operatives,
two.
that's correct.
So who's gonna park where? The customer's gonna park on the right or the left?
Patients will be on the left, and my staff will be on the right.
That's a lot of staff. Just seems like so much staff for
A
6
lot
operatories.
of providers.
I'm just curious if it's easier to have the safer lot for,
Yeah, unfortunately, with the way the house was designed, the building was designed, of course, the entrance is on the other side, yeah.
the handicap entrance is over there too, though?
Well, the ramp, yes, the ramp starts right there, correct. So the entrance to the ramp is here on up, and the parking would be right here.
Okay. I guess the only other thing I see is, I'm wondering if, can we get any street trees on this street, on this sidewalk?
No,
The sidewalk's right up to the edge of
it's right up to it.
You don't have
the
anything?
pavement.
There's no tree lawn or grass plot. It's all paved.
It's too bad. It would have been better to take some of the landscaping on the RMAV side, I think, and put it on the street.
So I think I read this, but I can't remember, what is your peak staff?
Peak staff,
Yeah.
probably on Wednesdays is our busiest day. 11.
I'm sorry, what was that? You have how many?
11 on Wednesday.
You have 4, what is it, 4? Now you're adding 2, so you'll have 4 rooms, right?
Right. No, we're adding 2 rooms.
Adding 2 rooms, there's 3 upstairs, right?
Right.
If I remember right.
There's
And
3
then
well, there's 5 upstairs, with the ability to convert one, and then we have 4 downstairs. And then we're gonna have another 2.
But the staff goes, it's not like there's one dentist for each of those operatories, so there might be 2 patients, one in each.
Right, no, I'm getting into how many patients can be in
Oh,
there.
patients, yeah, I'm
Right.
sorry.
We got the staff, right, no, that's okay.
So how will the patients know to park on the left, and how does the handicap spot?
They've been doing it for 37 years.
The handicap spot now is on the right in the
Yeah.
employee lot.
Yeah, the handicap will be on the right, but when the vans come, they drop the patients right at the door.
Okay.
So that's why we really haven't designated it, because no one parks there, so.
Well, he's got 11 staff in here, they wanna be able to park there, right? We'll have to-
I know, well, we used to, before I owned the property, it was pretty tight.
Well,
So where did they park before?
I'm
Where did
sorry.
they park, just on the street?
We parked back to back. Well, a lot of dental offices have no parking at all, so that's quite a bit.
Right now, the lot is not striped, is that correct?
Right,
And it will be with this project.
yeah.
and that number 1 spot can make that back up turn within the parking area? out in the street.
Talk about it, it's tight, but it works, they use it now.
Yeah, that's a couple of staff usually park there for ventilation from parking.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if you want to
We'll
keep
probably
doing that.
continue that.
That's all I had.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we can open up to the public now?
Yep.
So if anyone has any comments, questions on this plan? Okay, seeing none. Okay. Anything we need to think about inside?
So I had a question. Gene and Jesse, you guys wrote up a note. Do these plans account for any of their comments? No, not yet. Okay.
And the town engineer did prepare a memo, this afternoon. He apologized for having it so late, and that's on page 34 of your desk packets.
So he says he wants additional calculations.
Correct. I just saw the memo
I know, I
late
know.
this afternoon.
That's why I'm
and,
wondering if, can we condition it that he
No,
provides that?
Yeah, the town engineer was comfortable, if the board felt comfortable closing the public hearing and rendering a decision, he's comfortable with conditioning. He said as simply as stating, you know, condition upon addressing all the items in his memo. He said that he's fine with that.
Okay.
Rather than trying to list every single item, as long as everything is addressed, he said that you guys can do that.
Do you guys have any concerns with any of his
I didn't
findings?
have any concern with George's comments. I'd let Nancy, I didn't really review what the planner had, the planning department had to say, but with George's comments, I was comfortable. The one thing he noted is, I went out and ran a percolation test with this engineering department. That gives you a perk rate, and that's what I sized my system on. There's a new method called the Rawls method. It's a more conservative approach to sizing stormwater facilities. That's what he's asked for on this. I have sufficient capacity in the rain garden, even with a more conservative approach. I'm comfortable that it'll work, but I think that's what George's comments address, and I'm comfortable providing whatever he needs to move forward.
Okay.
So we didn't talk about anything inside. Do anybody have anything on that?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. And I'm sorry, did you guys had comments though? Where are the?
On page 32 in the desk packet.
Oh, right.
I think the biggest issues are the site is just so heavily concentrated with asphalt. And if there could be something more with the landscaping. Those two big trees are being lost, and it's pure asphalt, the whole site. So with that, we're worried about the way the parking lot, I don't know if there's been any updates, but when we reviewed the plan, we looked at, there was no wheel stops, no bollards around the dumpster area.
So
We
do
had numerous vehicles go into buildings.
Seems to be a uptick.
Yep,
And in surrounding communities as well with,
just driving right in.
yeah.
I do have the vertical granite curbing there. So, like along, if I didn't have a curbing or a berm there, I have put in like the concrete wheel stops. But we'd have a 6-inch reveal on the granite curbing for this section. So I just offer that. If you still think wheel stops are necessary, obviously I'd entertain it, but with a 6-inch reveal on the curbing, that's gonna stop, I would think, a car from going up onto the walkway.
What about on the other side?
Same thing.
Yep.
I have vertical curbing throughout the whole perimeter of the proposed parking lot, all with a 6-inch reveal.
What have we done in other places? Have we had both?
Well, and I'll use this example, the Starbucks, there's a 6-inch reveal and someone
Went over
went
it.
over and right into the building, so.
Okay. Was that coming straight, like head-on parking?
Yeah.
They just kept, because in this, they'd have to come and take a turn, not to say they couldn't,
Right.
but if the building was straight ahead and someone just kept driving and didn't stop and go in this case, they'd have to come in and make a turn, they're not.
Yeah, they
I'm
would-
open, whatever you're comfortable with, I think the
She's up
curbing's
high, though.
sufficient, but if you don't feel
Floor,
it is.
finished floor is, several feet above grade, right?
It's,
At least.
yeah, it is at least, yeah.
So, I mean, it wouldn't be fortunate for the car to drive into the
Right.
lower part of the building, but I don't think anybody would get hurt,
Right.
building damage. The question is whether the walkway is wide enough to take
The overhang, yeah, that's what I was thinking is about that overhang.
I have the 4-foot walkway, and then there's like a 3-foot landscaped area between, and the curbing's 6 inches wide, so there's, from the face of the curbing to the building, there's like 7.5 or 8 feet.
But
But
the walkway's right up next to the
Right.
curb, and there's no
Right.
space there. When people pull up, then that will cut down on the
True.
walking space, so.
True.
You know, I guess, I don't.
Well,
I would say.
I guess I could have
From my
re-
perspective, not a requirement, but you may wanna think about it. It's my take.
Putting in wheel stop.
they would push the snow, onto the landscaping, right, so the walkway would be all clear, so it wouldn't be pinched from both sides. What do you lose, a foot? How much is the overhang, 16 inches?
Foot.
Foot. 3 foot still okay.
Yeah.
And there's a concrete curb on the north lot?
If I could also offer that, it's not like Starbucks where there's this glass right on the street. This is, as you had said, it's going to have a
Yeah.
concrete foundation wall around it, so it would do some damage to a car if it did go through.
On the north parking lot, are you repaving or doing?
Just, that was done at the last,
That was done in '09.
Mhm.
Gene, can you bring up the satellite picture that you had so you can see what that tree line looks like?
Thank you, use the, cement.
Now, if the whole front is hardscape, where would you put any landscaping? I'd like to see some plants there too, I'm just trying to figure out where we would put them.
Well, could you push the parking lot back a little bit?
The new lot?
The new lot, just slide the whole lot back and create a couple of feet at the front.
Well, no, the new lot has some.
I have some landscaping. At the front entrance, I have 2 proposed trees to be planted and some perennial type plantings as well.
And that large tree stays. There's 2 there now. One on the left stays.
So there's 2 like 14-inch trees. One of them staying, one's being removed. And there is landscaping shown. I don't have, I provided from the property line to the first parking spot, there's 6 to 8 feet of green space before you get to the pavement.
I think the only opportunity is immediately to the west of the stair entrance. To build some kind of a planter there.
On the existing lot?
Yeah, it's really the existing parking lot that makes
That's
the
the
large
problem.
strip. just where you can see that discoloration in the sidewalk.
Mhm.
That's really the only place you could put something, I think, or maybe you could do something with the corner. That's not, it looks like you've paved all the way to the corner, but the last parking spot is well short of it. Where's that existing lot drain to?
I didn't hear you, I'm
Where does the
sorry.
existing lot drain to? How does that drain?
Right where the pointer is, right in the back. Right there,
Hmm.
Okay.
right,
Through here.
right up against the tracks there.
Oh, you have to kind of drag him, and drag him around, and then just drop right there.
All right.
There we go, that's a good one. So this tree will remain.
Okay.
This is the tree that has to go. And you can see this is where the existing driveway was. Here's the fence line. That's where Dr. Evans ideally wanted to have his entrance. But it didn't work with the number of spaces he needs, so I had to locate this entrance more center.
So it looks like from this picture, the other opportunity might be right in front of the ramp.
Well, no, he has to come across the
No.
ramp now from the other spot.
Yeah, the wheelchair access, they'll
right.
wheel through this area and access the ramp this way.
Everyone's access, right? I mean, anybody
No.
coming from there.
No.
There's
There's
stairs.
stairs right here.
No, but anybody coming from the new lot has to come this way,
That's
or will the
correct.
employees go in the back?
The
Employees go to the back.
Employees on the back.
Oh, there's no entrance on this side, so, okay, so you have to walk all the way.
Walk around.
Yeah, right about there, towards the sidewalk is the only place you could put something. You're leaving the clear path all around you. Between there and the sidewalk is the only place to plant something. And it looks like there's probably a utility that comes right there.
That's the gas line
Yeah.
right there. Yeah. They dug that up right after they did the sidewalks, like a year later.
Always. Of course. Yeah, right, it's just a big asphalt.
You see the very-
The sidewalks were added, about 1980, about 85, 86.
But Nick, weren't you also saying on the far corner, the very far corner where there's?
Yeah, the very far corner, the triangle after the
Yeah,
first
there's
spot.
nothing there. Yeah, could you
It
put
adds
stuff in
something
there?
there, but it's almost,
Yes.
what does it do? Cause it's
Right,
it's
it's
already
already
freezes.
It's gonna just connect with the other, it doesn't, right?
You're already in that
Right.
tree line.
Yeah.
Where you wanted us across the street, but that's not this project.
Across the street would be great.
Yeah, keep the trucks off.
But then going back to where the new lot is, so you said there's landscaping in the front. On this thing, I just see 2 trees.
There's some landscaping proposed in front of the addition as well. I have to
So,
see.
but I'm wondering if you could fill in a little bit more than, you know, on this one here,
I'd have to see, do you have this?
like the parking lot is. You know, I see 2 little trees here.
I just need it brought up so I can
Oh,
refresh my
sorry.
memory with what I
See the little, there. Oop, on the right.
did. Right, so
A little bit more there.
this would go, this 16-inch tree would stay. I was just trying to balance a lot and plant 2 new trees on either side of the entrance. Then there'd be some plantings along the side, 2 large trees out and back as well.
But I guess I'm saying there may be more opportunity if you were to do a little bit more in the front there. You have a little bit more opportunity.
I could maybe do a little bit more. I mean, I did more perennials. Here, I proposed a tree here as well. So we'd have new tree, existing tree, new tree, and then scatter some perennials off of the walkway. I mean, you want the canopies to allow to grow, but I thought I balanced it pretty well. If you thought there was another tree needed.
Well, I'm just looking for opportunity, other places.
I mean,
where
then
you
maybe I
can-
could put a tree here and eliminate this arborvitae.
I think there's a good amount.
Was
The
it in-
caliper on the trees, Jack, what were they?
2.5.
That's a pretty little tree.
I mean, some towns have been looking for like 3-inch caliper trees.
Yeah.
I wanna say the ones for the plaza across the street were like 4-inch.
4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the plan and I would spend the money on
So who
I would
owns
spend
this?
the money west of the existing 20-inch tree on the fence line.
Right.
So that's where
I would spend it south of the handicap ramp in that landscape area. I'd spend it at the entrance to the lot and west of the tree. I really don't care what you put behind the dumpster. I don't care if it's screened from nobody.
Right, it doesn't affect
Yeah.
You're
anything.
talking about the front, Nick?
Yeah, well, just to the, between the existing tree that's staying and the ramp, there's a landscape area that he has his path winding around against the building. So that's a nice section that he's gonna fill in with a tree and some other shrubs. And there's some landscape areas to either side of the new parking lot entrance. And I wouldn't bother spending a lot of money landscaping behind the lot. You know, just keep it to the front edges where it's more visible.
And that's really what I try to do. These are just some arborvitaes here. Those are inexpensive plantings. Those are 2.5-inch caliper trees that maybe you'd like to see larger. But then that way, you know, those will grow in over time. I mean, maybe there's a little bit of room, but that's why I did propose a tree here that would grow in over time, this one over time, this one. They could be larger caliper if you feel it's needed.
Can you go, Gene, can you go back to that, to the Google picture? So, the issue, right, the reason why this all looks the way it is, right, is because from here, from the ramp to the sidewalk, that looks to be, I don't know, trying to scale off the 8 feet, 9 feet, 10 feet.
You're right.
And so, you know, even once you look at the plan, because your property, the street layout is halfway through that, right?
Correct.
Here's the street layout. So when you look at this plan, that looks reasonable, right? Here's your sidewalk and it comes out, you need to keep this path. But the fact of the matter is, there's another 8 feet between the back of the sidewalk and what you really need to have paved. So in truth, this whole, it doesn't go that far back, right? From here
You're
to the edge is all paved, that really now, I don't know if you ever have people parking up there now or what, but this whole stretch between the back of the sidewalk and, let's call it 4 feet off the front of the ramp, doesn't need to be paved. And just adds to the hardness of the front of the building.
Yeah, but that's town right away.
That is town right away.
And that's a good point. There's from that
But I
ramp,
get-
there's 4 feet to the lot line. That's the area that we basically can do anything, because the rest is paved within, or concrete within the public right of way.
I'm gonna guess that it wasn't the town that paved this 8 feet between the sidewalk and the front of the building.
No, we pay.
Right. So I think if there's an opportunity to make
Make a tree lawn.
whether it's a tree lawn or something that's a little less hardscape, that's the place.
Yeah, that was the only spot we could put the handicap ramp
Mhm.
coming out.
Right.
And Nancy, I think, did a nice job with the porch to conceal it somewhat. So aesthetically, when you
Absolutely.
look at the building, you actually don't see that. But then there's an issue of snow removal. There's a lot of clearing that has to be done there, so it's easy for the plow just to go right through it.
So those are the opportunities where we could put some, I know it may not be ideal for snow, but it would certainly dress up the front a little bit. I mean, the easiest thing you could you could put planter boxes down there if you didn't wanna rip up the asphalt and the trees.
Actually, we used to have planter boxes there. This is back in the 80s, in front and then over in the parking area. And then they came by with the sidewalk and they ended up taking them out at that time. Because they actually extended into the sidewalk area.
Yeah, but it looks like you have room now, not off the sidewalk, but
This
still.
picture's deceiving though. It's not as much space as you might think. wish I had that much room. Looks like the building's a lot smaller looking in the picture, and it looks like there's more pavement than there actually is.
Well, where are we at?
Yeah, so we gotta square the circle. So I guess, the other thing is, so do you have a copy of this?
I do,
You do?
I do. I
Alright.
just didn't have a chance to review it.
So can we, do you wanna try to run through it? Cause there's some, the first one, the existing structure does not meet the 15-foot front setback or rear 20-foot setback being mentioned. Can you address that?
Right, that's the ZBA. We are going for the ZBA for a special
Okay.
permit. So under zone.
Existing conditions.
So it's 1 and 2. So then Jean had mentioned the third point is the bollards within the dumpster enclosure to prevent damage to the fencing during trash removal operations.
Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
You had that? Okay. There's concern over the safety implications related to circulation and access to the parking space located at the southeastern portion of the new parking lot. This first one, then one is 22.
I
Correct.
think it's the one on the right, the new one.
Yes.
So Jean and Jesse's comment was you could consider restricting the parking space to employees by providing signage.
Yeah.
I mean, I know this lot is meant to be for employees only, but you'll probably have patients,
Oh,
you know,
I'm sure they'll
go
try
there,
to
so
park
the
there.
concern is just, an employee will know that the hazard is there, backing up into the driveway,
Yeah.
or, reversing the other way and traffic oncoming.
I mean, if you're okay putting up a sign there, then we might recommend it if you're okay.
Employee only, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and that sign can't say Ravens Dental Employee Only. You can't,
I can't advertise it anymore. I don't advertise that much anyway.
well, sometimes in the exuberance,
Right.
doing that type of signage, there's a tendency to put logos
Right.
in.
I understand.
Okay, we talked about the wheel stops.
So we're gonna require, or no?
Well, we'll come back to
Okay.
all this. The project will result in, we talked about that.
Which we actually do have, some lighting information from Ms. Toomey on the lights.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Are we okay with that? The dusk to dawn?
Yep.
That's fine, okay. Permeable pavers. So your other comment here, Jean, was permeable pavers for the proposed sidewalk. The applicant selected a low-impact design for the stormwater system, and a permeable sidewalk would complement this concept. Any thoughts on that? You don't wanna do it?
Are those handicap accessible?
I think my stormwater system, like I said, I'm taking the entire roof area of the addition and the parking lot and any runoff off of the walkway. I'd rather stay away from the pavers for the walkway. Only 'cause over time they heave and trying to deal with snow
You really,
removal.
yeah, pavers to do them right.
And sometimes if
Cut the cement
you
down,
salt,
so.
sometimes they can eat away at they'll eat away at anything, but the asphalt holds up better than concrete or a paver.
Jean, you were thinking about the strip that runs around the
Mm-hmm.
dotted
Yeah.
strip?
I don't know if, the other idea behind possibly a paver, not necessarily permeable, but could be a different texture, add different texture to the site, where it's all just black asphalt.
Yeah.
Granite curb.
Yeah.
And granite curb.
So you think making the walkway not asphalt but concrete, is that what you're?
Or some, maybe a different material.
It would be more cost for Dr. Ravens and the vertical granite curb we did. I told him this board likes to see, really looks for the vertical granite curbing, so we didn't propose anything different. And he's gonna have to put some money into that vertical granite curving, so I would hope we could just, the asphalt will be, it'll work and be the most inexpensive means for him for construction.
Oh, and you had mentioned George wanted you to relocate the driveway on this portion. Were you okay with that?
I'm okay with that. And the reason that I didn't relocate it is that there's, under the selectmen's driveway policy, between driveways, you need 125 feet between openings.
Mm-hmm.
That's why that wasn't located, so in George's memo, he notes that relocating the driveway will be closer than the 125, which would normally be a variance
Okay.
with the selectmen, but in this case, it's for safety, and he'd rather see it moved. I'm paraphrasing what he said, but basically, he's saying he'd like to see it relocated without having to go to the board. He sees it a reason to do it, so I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Yeah, he says the rule doesn't apply, as you're closing 2 of the 4 curb cuts.
Okay. That's how he interprets it, which is fine with us.
Charlie, I think Jean has it.
Just-
Oh, yeah, sure.
I just wanted, one thing we forgot to mention is that this project did not go through a DRT, which we normally do.
Okay.
So a lot of the comments, we would have, had some conversation at a DRT, but
Right.
the applicant did not want to do a DRT, so can't force them, so that's why some of these are,
We were on a time crunch, but really that gone anyway, so we probably should have. I apologize.
Okay. And the last item note here, what are the plans for signage, including enter and exit signs for the parking lots?
And it's
No.
one
It's
entrance,
only
one
one
exit,
entrance.
so on each side, I'm not sure.
Jean, what were you thinking there?
I was thinking combining that with where the employees park and where the, public parks.
I guess I'd rather have less signs. And what I hear from them, this is my take, is hear from them that, right, the employees are gonna park over on the right-hand side, on the south side, if patient comes and parks there, they come and park there, no
Yeah.
big deal. They'll learn that it's probably, to park where they have been parking for the past 20 years is probably easier anyway, so, I would rather see less signs
Mm.
than,
Mhm.
except for the site that we talked about where, it taught
Employees only.
employees only. Does that make sense too?
Yeah. All right, so then I can try to summarize this and see where the board wants to go with some of these. Sure. Dave, you still have something to say?
No, I mean, I was happy with the original plan.
Yeah.
I've sketched up a little, little pen drawing here. I guess what I would like to see, there's that, and I'm going back to the landscaping, is there's that pavement in between the back of the sidewalk and what would be the continuation of your 4-foot sidewalk that goes along the front. And if you could remove that, I would like to see if you could remove that pavement, and even if it's just loam and seed in a tree lawn, not necessarily any landscaping that you need to maintain, but just a little bit, it's
Soften it up.
it'd soften it up, yeah. And I think, if you do wanna put landscaping in there, I guess it's town
Mhm.
property, and I don't know how what happens there. I know there's plenty of people that landscape town right away, but, at least if you can reduce that pavement and loam and seed it,
Yeah,
that's,
I mean,
I'd
Can
like
you,
to see
can you
that.
put up that aerial for 1 second, Gene? So basically, if I extended, I leave the 4 feet of pavement, so we have
Right,
ADA.
keep the, yeah.
And so from the edge of this ramp to the edge of this ramp, take out a section of pavement and put lumen seeded, or put in lumen seed and planting.
You can go further than
There's
that.
your edge of pavement, existing edge of pavement right there.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's right wherever you come down and then
Okay.
down to, you know, pick a point over here near the edge.
How about if you put the landscaping in front of the wheelchair ramp and then make the sidewalk come out a little bit? Because that would protect the, I know it's
Yeah.
gonna get leveled. I've been there for, this is starting 38 years in July, I know it's gonna happen. So, because trucks drive all the way, they come right on our sidewalks, the big semis, you know, they just wipe out everything.
So if if your new
Right.
comes
So
down
slow it down a little
along,
bit, right.
along the back edge, and then between the back edge, because you gotta keep all this paved anyways.
Right.
That's,
Yeah. Well, you're going to be closing up the 2 curb cuts
I'll be closing up the 2 curb
and
cuts
putting the vertical granite curbing along there.
across, yeah, we'll be putting new
So,
granite
I mean,
curbing.
that'll do something to slow down the trucks,
Yeah.
maybe.
Well, okay. They park there and they park over, you know, across the street at Burger King. They're there almost on a daily basis. That's where the problem is there.
Also, yeah.
yeah.
Fred, if you're open to that, I'll just off the cuff make this suggestion. I think the pavement should stay the 4 feet from the ramp out, and then we do the landscaping.
Yeah.
I don't think we should have the landscaping up against the ramp, because then your access is actually gonna be within the public way, which I think could be problematic.
Yeah.
John, you're right, because if you do it the way you're saying, you can actually run the landscape strip right to the line of the stairs
Right.
Yeah.
from the new lot.
See what I'm saying, Fred? We don't want your ADA access being out on a public way where at some point in time the town could come along. They can do what they want in the public way. They could do
Widen the
something
street.
totally different.
Yeah.
It's something to think about. There is room to do something there.
But it sounds like we have 2 possible ideas
Yeah.
on the same theme, so maybe I would suggest that, you know, we're gonna go through the decision here, and maybe we could just let you guys figure that out.
Okay.
With Gene, so you don't have to come back to us on whether it's, which side of that works for.
And my opinion is, you know, whether you landscape it or, as long as the pavement is removed and you have some vegetation there, so that it's not the entire stretch there, I think that will soften it up some to sort of give it a little bit better. You know, we can decide whether, you know, put additional landscaping.
Okay. So if people are okay with that, I would say that. On the wheel stops, it sounds like it's something that we think might be
Yeah.
of benefit, but I'm not sure. I'm hearing that we wanna acquire that.
The curb works.
Okay,
I think it's
so
fine.
we'll do that as a suggestion, and you can do what you feel is most appropriate.
And if somebody tries to drive into the building, they will be able to, but.
Yeah. I would also say, you know, similarly on that asphalt walkway, yes, it would be better if it wasn't asphalt, if it could be something else, but I don't know how other board members feel, but I'm not sure we should make you do that, because it is a cost item, so unless people feel strongly, I'd put that in the same category.
Do concrete.
Yeah, break it up, so maybe that is, unless people feel differently, that's where I would go with that one.
What was that? I'm sorry.
The walkway,
Not to make any changes to it, not to require any changes to the
Okay.
walkway. Although it would be
Recommend but not require.
recommend but not require. What's that? So, I think the other thing we sort of have here is a sign for the parking, for the one parking space.
Play parking?
Yep, the relocation of the curb cut. Bollards around the trash closure. I think we're comfortable not with enter and exit signage. You guys go start me when I'm wrong, right? Anything else?
George's,
Everything George is.
George's,
Right.
requested plan modifications.
then I guess tree caliper. we should talk about that.
Yeah, I think maybe we could fold it into working with Gene on that.
Okay.
And the curb cuts is already accounted for, right, in George's memo? So we don't need to account for it twice.
Yeah, I think we just make, now we're really getting into how we're gonna modify the decision, I think, right? So we're gonna say,
Right.
subject to these things. But I wanna lay all this out and make sure you guys were comfortable with all that. There's nothing there that you're uncomfortable with.
I'm comfortable with George's memo, so.
But all the things we laid out, the bollards, all that stuff.
Bollards.
Now that we're putting it all together, I wanna make
Yeah,
sure.
right, so bollards
Talk
and the
about this.
trash,
Comfortable, Fran?
trash enclosure is what I hear, and, employee only parking in that one spot.
Yeah,
Was there anything else?
we're working on trying to figure out the front area with
Yeah,
staff on some kind of landscaping,
Landscaping.
softening up,
but working with.
based on the ideas that John had,
Okay.
somewhere in that.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the only thing is, we talked about we talked about putting signage up for the park, for the snow, or we're not gonna, we'll leave it because, once he does it once, he'll never do it again.
Yeah, I think they manage his
Yeah.
site.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how do we do some memorializing some kind of an O&M plan for the rain? How do we do that?
We do require one. I mean, it's conditioned in the decision.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if George doesn't already have it, he'll have it as conditioned by site plan.
Okay, is there anything else in the big picture? If not, then are we ready to close the public hearing?
Move that we.
Let's make sure everybody, last chance, public comment? All right.
Move that we close the public hearing for the site plan review proposal at 198 to 200 Ash Street for Ravens Family Dental.
Second.
All those in favor? Isn't it? Okay. All right, so the decision,
Page 30-something or other, 37.
so you got all the stuff we just sort of went
Yep.
through?
So change all the 200s to 202?
Yeah.
Yes. One thing, I had a question about the snow storage for the other side of the lot.
It gets pushed right up against the railroad track, the embankment.
So I think we've got most everything here, right?
In findings in 5, I think there's just a typo, interior renovation. Spell check to the number on you there.
And then I'm
Computer
just going to
relocation, right.
add for number 6 that it will be enclosed by a solid stockade fence that will be stained a similar color as the building.
Yep.
Yep.
Do we want to tell Burger King to turn their lights off?
Yes, but not here.
Can you make that happen?
Okay, so conditions, the enter-exit signing, we're recommending against.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same with wheel stops.
You have a question mark for the I&I fee, though? I thought it was,
That was when I sent this to George. He did say that the site is subject to an I&I fee.
okay. You're aware of that?
I'm aware of it. I think we'll get some sort of credit for the old house that was there, but
Yeah.
we'll work that out with George.
So just to be clear, so the addition of the bollards, how we work out the landscaping in the front, the signage, you're planning on revising the site plan to address these, correct?
Correct.
So we can put in our condition that, the applicant shall provide a revised plan showing the bollards and the same with the landscaping.
Sounds good. So have you read the whole decision and you're comfortable with everything in here?
Yeah.
including the bond for the as-built.
Excuse me?
There's a bond in the amount of $5,000 for the final as-built prior to the issuance of a permanent certificate of occupancy.
Yeah, that seems a bit high.
This is a small project, I wonder if that bond could be a lesser amount.
How many drawings do you think it is? Think it's just a site plan?
Just a site plan. I would think like 3,000 would be more.
It's gonna go less than that, for sure.
Oh, I just cautioned more for it, sorry about that.
Like $1,500 worth of work.
Well, if you provide the as-built before your occupancy, then there's no bond that's
Yeah.
needed.
Oh,
So this is just to cover, if we don't get the bond and you wanna open because you have patients that need to be taken care of, then, so.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that's how we've been doing it.
Yeah, okay, good. That's
So,
better.
but we can reduce it,
'Cause I wanna
I
make
think
sure
George
they-
would be fine.
Reduce
with-
it, and then he knows if he gives you the plan before, he doesn't have to provide it.
Not
Correct.
an issue, yeah.
So what do you-
Nope, that's all right.
Sure.
That's what I got you guys here.
So,
I take care of teeth.
if you're moving very
Bond is
quickly and
teeth.
you wanna open, but you don't have your occupancy permit yet, the drawings aren't completed, they haven't been submitted, you need to provide a bond so that George is guaranteed to get them. But if the drawings are all
It's-
ready, when you go get your occupancy permit, you're all set, no bond.
And you might owe him some money at that time, so you could,
And
If you
we're
have the money,
such a
your other guy's
simple
gonna pay him.
project, the as-built should be simple as well.
you can do it right now. Alright, so what should we say, $2,000 for the bond?
Yeah.
We'll go to 2 for the bond, how's
It
that?
was fine.
Okay. Unless you said you wanted 3 though, right? Is that what you said?
Hey, come on. We're running late here.
Yep, okay.
And then, okay, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, that's it?
I just wanted to make sure that so I have condition 14, which is for the employee parking space sign. Condition 15 for the additional landscaping shall be provided.
Revised plan.
Should be
Along the eastern edge, western edge, sorry. I'd say along the western edge between the driveway entrances, so that gives them the ability to do something.
To be reviewed by town planner, reviewed and approved. And then I will also add a condition 16, that all items in the town engineer memo shall be addressed.
Yep.
Yep. That's everything. Are we good?
Move that the CPDC approve the site plan decision for 198 to 202 Ash Street as amended.
Second.
All those in favor? All right. Good luck.
George is telling you to move this down, right? If you kind of swing it like that and you clear pavement out, you can probably put a tree there.
All right.
And then this could just be.
Next on the agenda is
strip of soft-
review decision for definitive subdivision plan. I'm trying to remember, we did this,
Yeah, just
what do we do?
take it from
You
there.
close the
These
public
guys are
We
hearing,
did close, that's what I thought, okay.
and then,
A couple
Yeah.
things outstanding, yeah.
there are a few items outstanding. The developer is here and, we are still waiting. Again, I can let him speak to it, but, he's wanting to request continuance to have this item moved to the next
Oh.
meeting.
Okay. Came all the way out to tell us to postpone? Do that?
Yeah.
I offered for him to stay
basically.
home, but he decided to come.
Well, I
so.
figured I just wanted to come to postpone, like, you know, that I got word from town council late this afternoon, gave it to my attorney, and they'll work it out hopefully before the next meeting, so I'll be able to come with a letter that that last issue's been resolved.
Remember what the issue is?
Yeah, it's an issue of Sanborn Lane's a private way.
Oh, yeah,
And
access.
they want us to prove that we have the right to access it, and we believe we do, those two have to get together and work it out, so I'm pretty sure that will happen.
And I just wanted to report back on conservation. Last time I was here, there was some abutters that had some issues. We had our conservation meeting last night, and those issues were resolved, and conservation closed the public hearing on, three notices of intent, one for the road, and two for, one for each individual lot, 2 lots that were in the buffer zone. All the public hearings were closed, and we're going to issue the order of conditions at the next meeting.
Okay.
So yes, we did also receive a draft performance guarantee, which was one of the outstanding items, so that is in your packets if you wanna review it. I can also send it to you again, for next week, but that won't be, executed until after endorsement of the plan.
Okay. Well, I guess I would say, since he's coming back anyways, and we have other business already late. we
Yeah,
should
just
just do it
Yep.
next time. Okay.
I just wanted to let you know it's in there.
But in the meantime, we'll take a look at this before the next meeting and make sure you're comfortable with everything in here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll read over and communicate with you.
Okay.
I think I've given you a copy, but, right,
Yeah. you did.
but I'll give you, I think I have an updated one, I'll make sure
Yeah.
I give you one.
You can send me a revised. All right, well, see you on the 11th, I guess, Jim?
Good night.
Good night.
Yep.
Um,
Won't be until later in the evening.
Will we have any word on, from town council on the last bit of the bond on Bethune by then?
He's working on it. Yeah,
So we may have it by then.
we may.
So we can
And if
maybe-
that is-
Maybe do both of them?
Yep.
Thank you, guys.
So
All right,
June
thank you.
9th.
Oh, it's June 9th.
June 9th, yep.
Yep.
All right, great. Thank you.
Thanks, Al.
Okay.
Okay, the next on the agenda is final bond reduction request for Pierce Street. What page is this? Oh, here it is, 72?
Yep.
So this is all good?
Yes, the site's been completed.
Engineers reviewed the, okay, good. All right, anything we need to talk about?
No, George's been out, I've been out,
Okay,
no complaints from residents, so everybody seems happy.
get a motion?
Move that the CPDC approve the release, or vote to release the bond dated March 19th, 2013, held for completion of improvements to 10 Pierce Street, Oregon Pike Place.
Second. All those in favor? All right, we're almost back on schedule. What's that? At 9:01. The next item on the agenda is scheduled for 9 PM. So can we take a quick 2.5 minute break?
Yep.
We'll be quick.
I think they're.
Well, the public hearing is closed, so that we can have to vote for continuation. It's in more money.
lost
Well,
our
they
whole
were
crowd.
approved for building facade program, so the permit fee is waived.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, good.
Yep.
I'll have to be reimbursed for that.
Okay, so, thank you, giving us a moment there. So the next item on the agenda, I'm in trouble today. Request for signed certificate of appropriateness for 34 Gould Street, Gould Street, Pure Fit. We have, saw the pictures. Is the applicant here?
I'm the sign person.
You're the sign
They're
person.
not here. They never come. They always do.
It's like the most important part of your business, it hangs out front of your business. Just kidding.
So this, just to let you all know, this was before the EDC under the building facade program. They were awarded some funding for the blade sign. And we're very excited to see that move forward.
Yeah,
So,
we always love blade signs, okay. So, and everything's good? You didn't have any questions, any issues, or?
everything
Looks
else-
good.
Except that it looks crooked because it had to go on top of the awning guy's awning and I couldn't, so it will be straight.
I was gonna say something about that, that's what you did first.
Okay.
They have some window signage too, right? They put some
They
appliques
do.
on the windows.
Yep.
Those conform? They small enough?
Now, this shows signage on the awning and the sign above it and the blade sign.
So the awning signage, the letters
Address.
have to be 4 inches in height, and they can only state the address and the name of the business.
It doesn't say the name, it's just the address.
Right, and it does not count towards their signage, as long as it's
Okay.
under that 4 inches.
And they could have a window,
Window signs?
Yep.
Mhm.
window
long-
above the awning and the blade.
Yes, they
They
can,
could
they're
have
allowed.
3.
Oh, it's not,
You were saying something,
First
there's a
floor.
window sign.
No, I'm saying that the lower windows to the left have appliques.
They
No.
do have window signs,
Yeah.
and that is allowed
Right, as long as it's
as
certain
long as they meet the
size.
requirements.
So that's what I'm saying, you could have a window sign, the
Yep.
one that's shown there, and the blade sign, so that'd be
Correct.
3 signs.
More than 3 if you start counting every
Well-
window.
Well,
What's that?
yeah.
It's more than 3 if you start counting every window.
We don't count
don't
the
count
window
the
signs
window
towards
signs
their,
separately.
Okay.
Window signs are exempt.
Right. But that just goes to my point about, people always say, well, it's only one sign, it's only 2 signs. It's actually 2 signs, and then the window signs, and then the door sign. So it builds up.
And they
the
could come in
windows
for an
don't
A-frame.
say like Pure Fit Studio. It kind of says,
I guess it's pure fit.
Uh,
I'm not opposed to them, they look nice. I'm just saying, and they're the right size.
yeah,
I'm just saying, in total, though, when people talk about signage, it's never just 1 sign or 2 signs. You know, because there's always this proliferation of signage as it sort of builds in.
They would also be eligible for an A-frame sign.
Yep.
They want to put
Yeah.
a sandwich board out front. We have a licensing process for that.
In other areas, different businesses, then they get the trucks painted, and the
Stand
truck
those
is
A-frames.
parked out
Parked
front
up,
all the time, and so now you've got 4 or 5 signs.
is the A-frame thing
No.
new?
No A-frame.
No, I don't, I didn't,
About 3 years.
okay, because somebody else asked me about an A-frame, and I wasn't sure about it, and.
Business B only.
Okay.
Okay, so move that the CPDC approve the certificate of appropriateness for the signs at 34 Gould Street.
Second. All those in favor? You're good.
Okay?
Beautiful, thank you very much.
All right, what do I gotta stand? I gotta stand.
Right.
yes, thanks.
Thanks, good night.
I just did the 2. I don't think you need me to do all the other stuff.
Mm-mm.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you. Alright, next up is a request for signage for the Real Nail Shop at 75 Haven Street. Right here. Okay. Are you here? Who's here for
I
this?
am, yes.
Yes,
I'm
you are.
Heather.
What's that?
I'm Heather.
Hi.
Hi.
This is your place?
It is, yes.
Oh, so that's right, I saw this, it's going into the, you're going to the gold refinery place.
Yes.
Excellent. That's good.
Glad to see it.
That's a good
Yes.
spot.
Very good, very glad. How big a space is it?
About 550 square feet.
Oh.
Yeah. Feels small, but it's nice, beautiful window.
And you're gonna be right across from the Pure Fit place now, so.
Yes, actually, I just went in this morning, it's beautiful.
Well,
Is that?
right across from Pamplemousse and all sorts of other things too.
Oh, we all
We've
get
got a
to
little
there.
spa corner going there now. Quite nice.
So which wall's it going on?
If you could bring the photos up, it's the vertical brick line that runs, it'll be on the Haven Street side. Because it's the photo number 1 that's marked. You can see the vertical brick line above where the old gold refinery in 75 would be.
Yeah, okay.
Just about here, it'll hang off the first brick pillar. And I intend to have vinyl mimicking exactly as a blade sign, 1 circle on each window. The 24-inch circle would be identical, and that would be all the signage. This is all solid black to match the facade now, with some plantings.
So make sure I'm understanding. So where it says gold refinery now, you're gonna take that away and just be solid
This
black?
is all, it's already gone, those signs are removed.
Okay.
It does need to be patched up a bit, but
And then in the windows, you're gonna put a round,
it'll match the blade
Yeah.
sign, that logo that's printed in the packet. There'll be 1 circle per each window on the glass, yes.
okay. And then this though, Gene, can you go back up to the, so you're talking about putting it above the,
Yes, it'll hang, it actually mimics the girls on the sidewalk here have Leah's hair salon, so it'll run coordinated with their signs down. There are 2 blade signs already, so it
so it'll
would,
be at the same
the
height?
same height, and yes, so the storefronts would be 1, 2, 3, right down the path here. Leah's blade sign, and I believe the cosmetic
But
store.
isn't it also, I'm sorry, can you go back up again, Gene? Isn't it like in the brick between the gold refinery and the number 75, as opposed to above it?
When I did the measurements, I had measured just at the top of the brick line, which is where the bracket would sit.
And then it hangs down.
Yes, it hangs
Okay.
down. from
So,
there.
right, the bracket goes up above,
Yeah.
right?
So the
But
sign
when the
will
sign
actually,
hangs down
hang
about in
in
that
that
same
space.
area where the 75 and the gold refinery
okay.
is.
Correct. On this brick pillar here.
Okay, so I think that's just sort of a detail we want to add to the decision.
You can draw it in too,
Okay.
and
I think the key is having it run even with the other.
Mimic,
That would
yeah,
be ideal.
absolutely.
You can see this with the-
Yeah,
oh, no, the big thing.
yeah, right, okay. I can't draw. You can draw it. You
wanna give us a next?
can draw it. Nick, you wanna draw it in? You can draw it.
Yeah, if you want. Do you have an official color copy or something?
What, do we know the colors? We don't have the colors here, do we?
They're going to be black and white.
It's black sign with white script.
Oh, so just like, so it is gonna be like we.
Black mountain
It is,
finish
yeah.
signboard, I agree, white text.
Are you gonna do it too?
Uh,
For practice?
Right.
All right, anybody, any other comments or questions on this? Looks good?
So I just have, for condition one, will be the location of the blade sign shall be at the brick here at heights consistent with the other existing blade signs.
Yep.
On Main Street.
Do we have to, say that it shouldn't hang any lower than 8 feet?
We can say
8
that.
feet of clearance.
Yeah.
Well, I think that isn't that already,
On the permit, it says freestanding sign height from ground to bottom of sign 98 inches, top of sign 138 inches.
Could she put one on each side if she wanted?
She could.
But it was
No,
limited one blade.
one
Oh,
blade
you could
sign.
do one blade and then either a wall
Even though
sign
it's on a
or
corner like that?
She could have 2 wall signs, I think.
could.
You can only have one blade, one wall.
One wall.
Or, yeah, I think that's why I chose to go with the windows. The tree obstructs the front from the center of where the road splits, so I think there's more symmetry with the logo on the window and exposure for me, obviously, and balance without having 3 signs, one on each side and a blade. So I think it keeps it simple and clean and visible.
Okay. All right. Are we good?
move that the CPDC approve the certificate of appropriateness for the proposed signage at 75 Hagan Street, the real nail shop.
Second.
All those in favor? All right.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Great, looks good. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So next on the agenda is the review of the draft bicycle and pedestrian plan.
So I'm sure some of you have not had a chance to read the draft plan, but the draft that was included in your packets is sort of the second round that has been worked up by MAPC. So we started the process back in the fall. Was it the fall, Jean? When we really, or was it more?
It was last summer.
Yeah, I think we
Mr.
they started doing their inventory, I think late, like fall, early fall last year. So this draft was prepared, and then we held a working session back in April with Walkable Reading and invited other boards, committees and commissions, and had a really great working session, marked up some maps, received some comments. This draft reflects those comments as well. It was also given to the Board of Selectmen a couple weeks ago for their preliminary review and comment. And so what we wanted to do is sort of give this to the board at this meeting, give you guys some time to read through it.
Yep.
And then it'll be before you on the 9th again. And I think ideally we would like a vote from the CPDC to have it recommend that the Board of Selectmen consider it for adoption. So the goal behind the plan is to look at short-term, low-cost improvements, rather than something that's going to sit on a shelf. These are realistic, quick turnaround things that can be done to enhance pedestrian, bicycle, and vehicular safety, making it, kind of along the lines of the Complete Streets policy,
Yep.
where we're, making it safe for all users. This specifically targets bicyclists and pedestrians. Some of the short-term improvements would include simple things like additional signage, share the road for bicyclists, looking at additional crosswalk opportunities for pedestrians. And then it does include some, recommendations for adding bike lanes where the roadway widths would allow it. I think they talk about a typical, roadway width that could be reduced, to smaller travel lanes, to add a bike lane, things like that.
So it looks, right, you said this is a second version, yeah. So the first version that I looked at, it looked, one of my comments was gonna be that it presented a lot of, ideas, but not necessarily concrete recommendations, and it looks like this does go into
This provides.
more sort of, these are the
Yep.
recommendations.
Yep.
So there's two maps, one for pedestrian improvements, one for bicyclist improvements, that, you know, kind of give a priority of those, including for the bikes, it's either, you know, provide a share the road sign or a bike lane. For pedestrian improvements, it's more like creating, sidewalk connections. Those are most of their recommendations for pedestrians.
So, and I don't think this is in what MAPC is gonna do, and maybe it's something that we take this and add on to, but one of the things that I think would be helpful for us as a board and, for the selectmen, as that board changes over the years, is to sort of piggyback on what's in here and create some, I say, policy level, concepts. You know, how do these, what do they call them, high priority pedestrian areas or routes, how do they link into snow clearing? What we may or may not look for different, you know, as people develop, you know, if someone, for example, if someone develops a site, on one of these routes, where it's a bicycle route, it should be the policy of this board that they include bike racks. Plain and simple, you know, make it, those sorts of things, use this as a way to help define what it is that we do from a site planning perspective, from pedestrian to bicycle, and what the board of selectmen do in terms of prioritizing their, you know, their decisions that they make. And I know this doesn't go into it, and maybe we can add sort of the appendix or policy decisions or.
Well, I think that's where the complete streets comes in. That's also going to be before the Board of Selectmen in July. This will go before at the same time. The policy is more, I think, what you're talking about, where it really sets the stage for whenever we have a reconstruction project or a routine maintenance project, or as it relates to roadways, to really look at those opportunities. And I think it doesn't really address, I guess, the example that you gave, but, you know,
Right, so that's a
sort of along
policy
the
of this
same lines,
town,
yeah.
but there's some good ideas in here, and I'm just thinking about it selfishly, for this board, how do we take these recommendations and turn it into things that we do, that we're involved in, and I think there's some synergy there, but there's a gap, seeing a little bit of a gap between this and how we can use this. I guess that's, maybe MAPC can help out, maybe that's something we need to pick up in our spare time.
We were talking about parklets today, and we had parklets,
Right.
and everyone in the room basically fell off their chair laughing at the idea. But when I showed them the example from the town of Lexington, that's exactly what Lexington has done. They've got
Yeah.
enough parking for like 20 bikes and enough seating for like 18 people. Just taking 2 parking spaces and doing something different, like a parklet, creating a seating area. Even if it's only, you know, on a rare occasion, doing something creative like that. I mean, it just flabbergasted everyone in the room. So, we're not ready for that yet, but those kinds of things down the road, maybe things to think about, even if we just try them on, you know, special events, or we're talking about the Fall Street Fair. And we thought, okay, maybe this is an opportunity to try something out like that.
I saw those parklets. I thought they'd really work where we have several businesses that could use outdoor seating, don't have the street space.
Yeah, that was kind of what framed it up. Diamici's and Orange Leaf just got approved for outdoor seating. But for the Fall Street Fair, I'm gonna be meeting with them tomorrow morning. It's really not feasible for them to put tables out, and they've, Orange Leaf has a bench. So to put street furniture out when you've got 10,000 people in the downtown, that's probably a day you don't wanna put that furniture out. But maybe we could do something like a parklet, and that's when everyone cracked up and fell off their chair.
Well, I think they just were completely shocked by the term and looked at you like you had four
Thought it
heads.
was making.
Parking space.
I didn't even know what it was.
Well, I run into the term
I never
before
heard it.
and the diagram. I mean, so this makes perfect sense to me.
Wish you were there.
Oh, so funny. So funny.
I mean, I did have a chance to read through much of the plan. It's very well written. One of the things that I would, a vain hope, if you will, is that at some point we'll find a way to extend the pedestrian or the cyclist connection across the interstates. And we've got this wonderful Joshua Eden loop that doesn't come anywhere near Sturgis Park and doesn't come anywhere near the town borders. And I grew up in a town on the edge, literally on the edge of New York City. And some of the things that we had was pedestrian underpasses on the highways. And it's something that we've got. One of the things that Reading, the southern part of Reading, suffers from is barriers to the adjoining towns. So we had to put a bee in somebody's bonnet and find a way to tunnel through, tunnel over, do the interurban or the intersuburban kind of connection. But that's a long-term hope. As I say, a vain hope.
Good luck with that.
Well, if they come back and they start talking about the cloverleaf again, or when they do,
Yes, right. That's-
then I'll be right there.
Yes.
So what we have scheduled also on the 9th before the CPDC meeting is another opportunity for the public to come and provide input. Like I said, last time we did kind of a working session that was kind of co-sponsored with Buckle Reading. They were very helpful. This time we're doing more of an open house concept where folks can come in as they come and go as they please from 6 to 7:30 right before the meeting. Solicit any last comments or feedback that they have on the most recent draft. And then right at 7:30 we'll have this scheduled first, just so it ties in nicely for folks that are already here.
Good. Okay.
So
This
if you
is
want to
great.
come early, feel free to come early and join in. MAPC will be there to help facilitate the discussion that happens.
Sounds good. Anything else? Okay. Sounds good. So, we're ahead of schedule here. Next item on the agenda is until 9:45.
It's not a public hearing.
It's not a public hearing, but they're not here, so we could switch to other business then, I guess. I don't think we can really have a discussion about the Johnson Woods amendment without Johnson Woods people being in the
I
room.
saw them walk in.
Do you want to see if they're here? I guess we can get started. So I can just remind folks, if you hadn't already signed in, you can sign in. Great.
Actually working on a pedestrian crossing in Qatar. It's gonna cross a 12-lane road. And he just said, do something crazy. Yeah. I don't know that they'll pick my.
Hey Brad, you're early, if you don't have to do this, if you want to wait.
Oh, no, we're fine.
I mean, if you're waiting for other people to come.
Rather than bring the pedestrians over.
I'll make it get you on the site.
Say,
Oh, yeah, well, usually we're behind.
because you need to shade in your speech.
Is there a public copy of the new plan, the new draft of the plan posted to the website?
We do not have it posted on the website. I will be posting it early next week.
An extra copy here if you'd like it.
Okay, so, sorry, maybe it's my ignorance, but is it not supposed to be posted for everybody to see at the same time as the committee?
I mean, it's available.
It's still in the draft form, so.
Yeah.
I understand, but if the committee reviews it, doesn't everybody in the town
The
also?
committee will review it at the next meeting as
Yeah.
well, at the June
It's
9th
just
meeting.
really
Yep.
just for
And it'll be
discussion.
available prior to that.
Okay, but the committee got ahead of time, right?
Correct.
But doesn't every person and citizen, shouldn't it be posted that the members of the committee get it? Maybe you don't misunderstand the process well, I'm just trying to understand the process. If the members of the committee get it, should these not be posted in the town's website?
We don't post everything to the website.
Yeah.
You can always come into the town hall
Okay.
and request a copy,
Okay,
so.
okay. How do we know when the draft is ready?
There will be some changes that will be made. MAPC does plan on making a few changes prior to the next meeting.
Okay.
So that's why I was holding off getting somebody a copy that will just change probably by next week.
Okay.
If you want, I can give you my information and I can email you a copy.
Did you sign the sign-in sheet?
I did.
Okay, just wanna put a note on there for any updates to the plan,
What-
we'll make sure we get your copy.
Did you leave an email address? Okay, what was your name?
Mario
Mario?
Carrillo,
Okay.
J-A-R-R-A.
Okay.
I'll make a note.
Okay, so next on the item on the agenda is the discussion for Johnson Woods amendment to special permit for affordable units. Jean or Jesse, did you want to introduce anything or just turn over the?
Sure. So this was a request that we got, and we've met with the developer a couple of times to, basically do something a little unique. And, with Johnson Woods, it seems like that's kind of the specialty of Johnson Woods, is doing something unique. So once again, we have a unique idea. What this idea proposes is to go back to the special permit. We won't be doing that tonight, but I think the applicant's here just to get some feedback on this concept of going back to the, special permit that was granted for Johnson Woods and exercising or requesting, the ability to provide off-site units. So the request would be to locate 6 of the affordable units on an off-site location, which is being proposed as the Woburn Street School, St. Agnes Commons. And so, by doing that, the zoning requires that for every 2 units, there's an extra bonus unit that's required. So the 6 that would be relocated off-site would then turn into 8 as part of that, bonus requirement. 1 for
Okay.
every 3.
One for 3 or 1 for 3 for 2?
3 for 2, yeah.
3
However
for
you
2
wanna look at it.
would,
You get for every-
should result with 9, right?
No.
If you're moving 6 and it's 3 for 2.
6
then
becomes 8.
6 should become 9,
For every 3, you have to add 1. So you
okay.
get 2 more.
So it's 4 for 3.
Okay. So now we're talking about 8 units that would be created at the offsite location at St. Agnes Church. So we had some, there was a couple of neighborhood meetings. We had asked the developer to have neighborhood meetings about this proposal at St. Agnes School. And we got a number of phone calls from the neighbors with concerns, and I think it's in the memo. Because ultimately what happens is you're diluting the affordability component of Johnson Woods by removing those units and relocating them to this school site, which now becomes almost 60% affordable. And then that raises any number of questions about, is it apples to apples for units? And, you know, 3 of the units are garden style and are, the other, 5 of the units are garden style, 3 are townhouse. So it's really a whole combination of a different type of project now being shifted over to some completely different animal. So it raises a number of issues.
I don't think anyone was here when we went through the zoning, the actually drafting the PUDR. Maybe you were, I don't recall who was on the board at that time. But as Jean mentioned, there's an express provision in the bylaw that says that the applicant, with your approval, can have units, affordable units be off-site. And as Gene also pointed out, and as David indicated, for every 3 that you move, you must add an additional bonus for the town. So what is being considered here is the relocation of 8 units, actually 6, which would then end up being 8 at some other location. As you know, some of the units are townhouse affordable, some are garden style existing in the project. I'd like to jump, if I can, to the other location that we're talking about. That's St. Agnes School. There's a contract that Mr. Moore has with St. Agnes School to acquire the old school building and to go through a friendly 40B process, also called the WIP process, to have that be partially affordable. That would have to address a number of issues. There'd be not massive changes. And by the way, Craig Bosworth is with me. He's you know Jim Beleco. He's in association with Jim. They're in the same office. And by the way, Ted's out of the country. That's why he's not here to be able to discuss this directly. So the recipient area would be the St. Agnes School, where those 6 units be relocated plus the 2 bonus units. I believe you received a memo, am I correct, on that? There was a question on that, and of course, let me just quickly go through for the people that may not have seen that memo. Comparing what is at Johnson Woods to what would be at this location if you approve it. Right now, 1 1-bedroom would be replaced with 1 2-bedroom. 2 2-bedrooms would be replaced with 2 2-bedrooms, still garden style. So it's apples to apples, except there's 1 additional bedroom being created. And there'd be 3 2-bedrooms that are townhouse style now at Johnson Woods. Would be replaced with 2 3-bedroom garden style, 1 2-bedroom garden style, and 2 1-bedrooms. So there's a increase in number of bedrooms as well. I think the question might be asked, what's in it for the town? What's the benefit? Well, of course, one benefit is the 2 additional bonus units. The second benefit is that the affordable units at Johnson Woods don't have to be built in the immediate future. He's already built a number of affordables. He's at a safe number now. He can continue to go market units and sell them. It'd be some time before they come online and benefit the town as far as DHCD's qualifying list. Because after a period of time, those fall off the list if they aren't built. In any event, he would build them now, so they'd be created now, as well as the 2 additional units. I think one thing about Ted is you as Gene said, we come back before you a lot because we move a unit to save a tree. You know what the end product is like, right? That's an important component here. If you say no, that he cannot move those 6 units, he will just not go forward with the project, and some 40B developer will come in and will probably do what they're going to do at St. Agnes. So at least it's the entity we know that we're dealing with as far as Ted is concerned. A couple of items if I could. We met with the neighbors, and I think it was a very good meeting, sharing ideas and concerns. And there are some traffic issues I'd like to share too. Might be appropriate to go into that briefly. And Craig's got a board here that shows them.
Do we have that electronically?
I'm sorry?
Do we have that electronically?
No, you don't. It just came out. Didn't have a chance to get it to you. There's been concern with the traffic circulation pattern at the school and the church. What happens is in street issues, if you see what I'm talking about, there are outer driveways on the outer extremities on Woolman Street. And the one that is westernmost, that goes by the rectory, has always been an inn. And when it comes around the church and out by the school, that's generally been 2-way. And also on the school entrance itself, you see there's a confluence there, that's 2-way. So you have a conflict in that middle driveway. And then the one in the easterly extremity has been 2-way, predominantly in or out depending upon the time of day when it's being used. The police chief and the fire chief had concern, as did some of the neighbors, with that conflict. So the proposal that was presented to the neighbors at the time was basically to have that middle entrance there be 1-way in. That raised some concern with the abutters for a couple of points. Traffic the lights from the cars at night would shine on the side houses. And also, if you made by the rectory an exit, it would shine across the street on the other side of Woodley Street. So what has been done in this iteration is to have the traffic come in by the rectory, out by the common driveway with the school, but then on the school property, have that be dedicated exit also, and the eastern extremity be in only. So what you do is you don't have that conflict in the middle. Thank you.
Just so the people at home can see it.
That helps. So basically, this is just a reversal of, this would now be in and out. The in would be over here and out. So that at least resolves some of the conflict down here and addresses the concern. We heard the neighbors say that if the traffic comes in as it's shown here, you're gonna have headlights on these neighbors. Conversely, if it comes in here, you'll have headlights on these neighbors. So by reversing it, you end up with avoiding a good deal of that situation. And Ted also, thank you, Ted also indicated at the meeting with the neighbors, I'll repeat that, about having an attractive solid fence around the back area, which is now a rusted chain link fence. So basically, the other question I think that Gene asked was, what's the comparative size of the units when you move them? And what Ted has indicated to me is that of the one bedrooms, the Johnson Woods, they're between 1,000 and 1,100 square feet. If those one bedrooms, if they were moved to St. Agnes, would be the same size. They're relatively the same size. The two bedrooms at 2 and 3 bedrooms, looking at Johnson Woods, they're between 1,200 and 1,400 square feet. Those units at St. Agnes would be 1,100 to 1,200. So it's maybe a reduction of 5 to 10% in the size of the 2 and 3 bedrooms. I think that was the question that was unanswered before. So the hope was that you'd see it appropriate to consider the amending the special permit through the proper process to allow the 6 units to be moved from Johnson Woods to the St. Agnes building, and then get the 2 bonus units as well at that location. There'd be a total of 23 units, by the way, that are being proposed for St. Agnes School. The exterior, actually, I'm going to ask at this point if Craig might describe some of the exterior changes to the building and maybe some of the layout.
If I could just interrupt for a
Sure.
minute. I just want to make sure I got this right. You said that the 2 bedrooms at St. Agnes were between 1,100 and 1,200, right, square
That's
feet?
correct.
So I'm just pulling up the floor plan. I can't seem to find one that's that big.
Craig, maybe you can.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the 2 bedrooms I have just at under 1,100 square feet. Around, I have 1,075 square feet as a 2 bedroom.
That's what I see, 1,075. So it wouldn't be 1,100 to 1,200, it'd be around 1,000.
Almost, yeah, between 1,000 and 1,100.
1,100.
I thought I also saw something that all the one of Ted's arguments was that there are only all 2 bedrooms at Johnson Woods, and here you're gonna go to 1, 2s, and 3s. But you had mentioned that there's the 1 bedrooms at Johnson
Well,
Woods.
I'm taking this from an email I got. I think you are correct. I don't think there are 3 bedrooms that are affordable at Johnson Woods.
No.
Right, so all the affordables at Johnson Woods are the 2-bedroom variety.
That's correct.
Okay, so the 1 bedroom is irrelevant.
I think there are 1 bedrooms that are affordable at Johnson Woods, but not 3
according to
bedrooms.
Ted's memo, I thought, unless I read that wrong. Didn't he say it, there were only 2 bedrooms?
I think he said moving 1 one-bedroom unit,
Won't be on that.
so there must be
map.
1.
Okay, maybe I,
Yeah, the map is,
Yeah, so there is one bedroom, it looks like,
Okay. Well,
right there.
it says specifically,
one here.
it's, yeah, page 108, if you could read
Can you do the math for me? You said 23 units
23 units.
total, and you're required under 40B to have, it's 25%,
That's correct.
right? So that's 6. And so, are you proposing 8 total, or 6 under 40B plus 8 from Johnson Woods?
6 plus 8 for 14.
yeah.
All right. I didn't really say that, or I couldn't find where that was in here, so. Yeah.
Are we good to go? Are there more questions that we have
Well,
in
we
regards
still,
to this?
we need to come back to the bedrooms, because it's still unclear to me which bedrooms he's moving and how big they are, so.
Well, what was there?
When you told us what the bedroom size are, but you didn't tell us how many.
Oh, it's on the memo, I'm sorry. There are one bedroom of a garden style with the
Page
place.
110.
It's his,
The table.
Sorry, I just figured that. I could look at it.
what page is this?
110 of our thing.
I have extra
Oh, that's
copies.
right, I thought you were talking about.
No.
I got you. Who's on first? So you're saying the one bedrooms are awash, they're the same size,
That's correct.
but the two bedrooms are a step down between 1,200 and 1,400 to 1,075. And what are the, wait, so, okay, so there's no three bedrooms
There are no three-bedroom affordable.
at Johnson Woods.
That's correct.
Okay.
And the reason that he's introduced three-bedroom is that under comprehensive permit now, 10% of the affordables have to be three-bedroom. So the AC.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Okay, what I'll do is, just start with the existing building, and just gonna run through it quickly. The exterior envelope, floor plans are irrelevant. We'll go quickly through the floor plans. I'll describe to you the 1, 2, and 3 bedroom locations, and the character of which we have an existing brick building. This was a school building at one point in time. So, off of Woburn Street, this was the main entry. In our new diagram, we're eliminating this as the main entry, and our goal is to have the main entry to the building off of the parking areas. Okay, so this is a change. We're asking people to drive in, people who live there are gonna park, they're gonna walk directly into the building. There's a couple of reasons for this, because when I do an addition, we are proposing to do an addition back here. The addition's about 50 feet wide by 11 feet off the faces, but
I'm sorry.
Yep.
Can I ask you to rearrange yourself and maybe go over there so other, you're not, you
Sure.
don't have
Yeah,
your back
The
to.
TV can't pick it up
Yeah.
either.
Oh, good, thank you, sorry about that. No, that's good.
You want this moved over here?
Yeah,
yeah, I'll take these.
yeah. Thank you very much, sorry.
It's John's proposal.
Maybe over.
Over further?
Yeah, over where,
Behind
yeah.
Gene's,
Yeah.
behind Gene kind of.
So we'll look at that.
Yeah. We can see you wherever you are.
Yeah.
But
All right.
If you guys wanna move up to the front, we'll get better.
Don't worry about the camera.
Don't worry
It's
about it.
got-
Can you guys see it okay? You want to?
Feel old school with these boards. I should have gone high tech here. It's hard for me to
No,
say.
the other way.
The other way,
can
so they can see.
So they can see.
Can everybody see?
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. All
All
right.
right, good, perfect. Now we're cooking with
All
gas.
right, we're working now. I can slide these over to the side. Okay. So again, this is our building. Our goal is to create the main entry for the building will be off to the back. And the reason why we're doing this is because I do require an addition to the back. This addition is going to house for us our trash storage for the facility, mail room. It's going to be a main entry. I'm going to create a new main entry so it'll be attractive. I have an elevator and staircase. Right now, because of this building, it's got concrete slabs, it's floors, it's got a gymnasium. We're going to be doing a lot of work on the interior, but by doing an exterior type of addition, I'm able to create a new entry and utilize the space back here as a form of entrance for my vertical circulation as well. So that's the reason why the entry has changed. So, coming back around to the existing elevations. This represents the Woburn Street side, okay, the main entry today. This will go away. You will see the proposed elevation shortly. But for the most part, you're seeing a brick building with a simple gable roof over it. It does have a cupola, which is not represented here. In our event, we will lose the cupola and just have a brand new roof put on top. In the rear of the building, so if this is the front, this is the back side, there is a little bump out to the back. Our goal is to eliminate that, and I'll show you in a second that this is the area that we propose to do our additions. As a school, it had classrooms, so there was a lot of natural light up there. That's an asset. Anytime you do any kind of residential housing, obviously we need to have windows for egress requirements in bedrooms, as well as for daylighting in all of our public spaces. Where we had a gymnasium, you'll see in our proposal that we are banking in a bit more glass as a requirement for our units. The floor plans. There's a whole lot of fun stuff to talk about here, but from the standpoint of this being Woburn Street, you've driven to the back, you have your main entry now. This is the area of the addition. As I said, mailroom. I had to have a mechanical room for an elevator. There'll be a main entry for the building with a staircase, elevator, and an area for trash. There'll be enough units there in order for residents to put their trash and recycle in, and then it gets pulled out, I guess, and your department will come down and pick up the barrels here at this local area. The 2 points of, obviously this will be the main entrance now. It has a center corridor that takes you as deep into the building as required to have access to all of our units. And then our second means of egress with its second stair will come out to the right-hand side of the building. If this is Woburn Street, it would be the left-hand side. If this is the main entry, to the right-hand side. So as people are driving down the side lane. The first floor, by map, the way it's designed right now, first floor has 3 one-bedroom units, 4 two-bedroom units, okay? Similar, second floor, you're gonna see obviously the vertical circulation, our elevators, our staircases take us straight up. You'll still see that main corridor, second means of egress, and units around the perimeter. The second floor allows us to grow out over the space to create the 2 3-bedroom units. So we have a 2 3-bedroom units in the rear of this floor. Second floor consists of 4 1-bedrooms, 2 2-bedrooms, and 2 3-bedroom units on this floor. And lastly, again, this vertical circulation comes up. You'll see in a second the elevations, but there isn't any form on the 3rd floor as this is the zone of our proposed addition. The main corridor again, second form of egress staircase, and the 3rd floor consists of 4 1-bedrooms, 4 2-bedrooms. All right, from the exterior elevation standpoint. This is our proposed scheme. This represents the Woburn Street elevation where we once had that front entry. We're going to do away with it. We're going to be punching in more glass as these become residential units. And the front area, from our perspective, it's our goal to make that a park-like element. So although don't hold me accountable for any of this greenery, but that's the intent, is that that front area will be turned from right now a common sidewalk entry point. It's going to become more of a park-like element to the front. This represents the rear elevation. So this is our main entry to our facility. We will have our trash rooms, our mail rooms, our mechanical access points for elevators. But this stem is basically where our staircases and our elevators exist in this new addition. This is the brick form that's existing behind. So of the materials, it's going to be done in a manner that we're going to use hardy plank, we're going to use composite materials, we're going to use asphalt shingles. So it's meant to last a long time. That's the kind of construction materials that Ted likes to use for his developments. It's what you'd see over at Johnson Woods. You might pick up on the elevations, although not specific. You can see that there's a rhythm of windows now that are being punched into the exterior elevations. This is a requirement, obviously, because I'm trying to use some of the larger pieces and groups of glass in those living areas where you also have windows in certain bedroom areas that are required for egress. So that's what you're seeing in exterior elevation. Lastly, the other side elevation, not much different with the context. You're going to see a lot of glass going in here as the program requires it behind the facade. You're seeing the side elevations, obviously, of our additions there. These are 2D. From our perspective, I think it's a little bit easier to showcase things in 3-dimensional forms. People seem to understand these diagrams a little bit better, so there's a couple images here that I think help illustrate the point we're trying to address. This represents the rear parking area and the additions that we're proposing, which are clear against the existing brick forms, main entry, the banking of windows, There is some lawn spaces and things of that nature there. And from the front standpoint, I didn't get too crazy with it, but out here would become area of park with the use of the windows out front right now. I think lastly, I mean, this is important. You know, there's other things that we're going to be talking about, lighting and things of that nature, but it's meant to take it down to a residential scale. When we do these types of developments, this is a light pole that's illustrated on our site plan. Part buried in here someplace. That we're showing in our document. This is what light pole we're proposing to use, and you can see this at Johnson Woods if you were to drive around there. And so instead of large spotlights, which are currently there beaming down on the building, we'll take it down to a residential scale, and we will get there to a point where we know specifically where these light poles are, but this is the nature of that. I think that kind of wraps up the presentation for what we're proposing to do here. And just open up for questions now.
Okay. On that particular view and the church side elevation,
Yes.
there's a grade change from the street down to the parking area in the rear. Are you planning the window well in there adjacent to the building?
There are window wells up towards the high end, that's correct. You can see that on the site plan. There'll be 3 locations that window wells are required because that's the egress requirement from those bedrooms in the lower first floor, what we call the first floor elevation.
And you're not currently planning any canopy or treatment on the side entry?
No, not at this present time. Did you see that elevation?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
It was bare.
So, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's.
So I was sort of troubled by the front of the building. You know, to me, it always, you know, you want to have buildings that are communicating with the street, and to cut off any access between the front of the building and the street just doesn't seem like a good way to go.
I appreciate that, and we did a diagram with maintaining that as it would be a simple thing for us as a matter of egress to have one spine running from front to back. But what happens is in a floor plan like that,
You cut into the 2 units in the front of the building.
you got it. I lose the volume down there to make a 2-bedroom unit work.
Right.
So from our standpoint, and the developer's standpoint, it made more sense to turn out after I got as far as I needed to with a corridor.
So, but, I mean, you would only do that on the first floor, right? You could try to,
But you still want your staircase to be local to that location, so.
right, but you put up the first floor, right?
Yep.
So what happens is if you put the stairwell on the exterior wall, you're giving up the exterior wall to a stairwell.
Well, what am I, so no, what I'm thinking here, so that's, right,
Right.
so if you took that space out, you've got your stairwell where it is, so it's just on the first floor where you lose some of that space for those units there.
Well, but you've got a grade issue.
It's also, yeah, exactly. Right now, that entry is approximately 4.5 feet lower than where this proposed floor elevation is. So that was, if you were to see the existing floor plans, it's almost a half floor differential
It's split.
between, it's split.
Split there.
Exactly correct.
Yeah, that's good, that bothered me. So, not sure what, it's a 40 feet, so, you know, some of that's for site plan review, but that would bother me.
Sure, take everything you say, I'll take into advisement and bring to Ted's attention for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. I mean, that looks like it turns back,
Turns back
the
on the
back
street.
on the street.
Mhm.
And whether you actually have a door there, I get that doesn't quite work, but, doing something so that it doesn't look like it's facing with the back to the street in such a, it is a prominent location in town. I mean,
Very
right
much
on
so.
Main Street, right next to the church, and having it sort
But,
of that way.
by the same token, that it provides view to the street for the tenants that they would not have otherwise necessarily.
I don't have a problem with not having access from the front. I think they can dress up the front better.
Yeah, a little bit more architectural
Not as much as I have a
detail.
problem with that back. That back is by far the worst thing I've seen come out of this architect's firm. They've done such great work up the street,
Yeah.
uptown, rather, and they're gonna put that on the back. Thing's horrible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
be
back
happy with
is
that.
very,
But the wooden addition,
The new addition in the back
Yep,
is by far the worst thing I've seen come out of this architecture firm.
thank you.
That needs work.
Very proud.
There's no way that you're gonna swap units out from there and make a windfall of cash uptown and then put that thing on the back of that building. Cause really, that's what ends up happening. These units are not equal. You can sit there and
so let's go to
and
that.
talk about
Yeah.
square footages, but if I've got a 2-bedroom unit up there, my kid can run around that whole development. It's very different than being here. Not that this isn't excuse me, not that this isn't a neighborhood, but it's a very different feel being in those units than these units. These have value. I'm not saying they don't, but let's not say that they're equal just because the square footage is equal.
Exactly. I mean, I'm really troubled by this moving of these units from one to the other. And I think that any effort to try to claim that they're equivalent in any manner is completely not true. It's, you know, it's a real lowering of the quality of units, moving from those Johnson Woods units to these units. In terms of amenity, the style of the units, it's a double-loaded corridor. I mean, the units up there are, they don't compare to the ones here. And you know, so far what we've gotten in terms of that request is, I have to do it just because, and there's nothing to back up. There's no numbers to show us. There's nothing to show us that there's any gap. There's nothing to show us that there's a need for that. He's telling us there's a need, but there's nothing to show it, nothing to back it up.
It's an opportunity, it's not a need.
Yeah, and that opportunity requires us to debate it for sure.
Right.
There might be some value in having additional units or developing this on a friendly approach versus just whatever would come in.
60% of the units.
Sorry, hang on a second.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Let's remember too what affordable means in this town. Okay, because that's median
Yeah.
income.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that this is a perfectly good approach to redeveloping this building. And if it
Agreed,
were
it's probably the only thing that works.
Right, and I mean, it's a great use of this building in this location. 25% affordable would be fine.
Right.
You know, standard 40B kind of levels. And let the rest of Johnson Woods continue under their existing plan. I mean, this would be my first choice.
To not move the units.
Right. And we just, you know, let the approved plan continue as is.
Yeah.
And then handle this independently.
I mean, because in theory, what you're telling us is there's a gap here. That's why he has to move the units from one to the other. There's a gap in the financing. Why else would he be moving the units?
No, it
No,
looks,
It's a question. It's a question. Why else would he be moving the units? There's a gap in the financing.
it's a timing.
I'm asking Brad.
Okay.
as to why he wants to move the units?
Yeah. Because there's a gap here.
Yeah,
Yep.
because.
He can sell them for more money there.
That
And he
helps-
can plug the
that
gap
helps
here.
The freighter cost of this, that's correct.
Okay.
Well, but this is coming in under 40B as well.
You sure?
This would be this would have its own 40B units as well as
That's
the
correct. That's correct.
So it would work without the additional units. It should work without the additional units financially.
Sure, without what should work without additional units?
Moving the units doesn't cover the gap of developing this project.
This property,
It's extra money uptown.
That's
Yeah.
the point. Right.
Yeah.
Well, and the 40B aspect of it is capped at a 20% profit
Exactly.
anyway.
That's the other point I was gonna make, is he's capped the developer fee under a 40B.
That's correct.
Okay. So this would be, in theory, looking at these two together, it's gonna be more than 20%.
As a matter of fact, when Ted spoke with DHCD, they were concerned with the fact that they want this to stand on its own, it has to, in essence, qualify. Because you have to, they wanna see a 10 or 12% profit on the low side, just for safety's sake, inappropriate. But while they cap you at 20%, they don't want a project to fail.
Right, that's right.
But you're correct, Ted's interest is in being able to move units. He's not a per se 40B developer. He's done 40B developers in Lexington and Wayland.
Right.
But you're correct,
But I
his
think-
motivation here is to be able to move those units.
Right, but
If
the
not, then someone else would probably do the 40B project.
the implication is that he won't go forward with this because if we don't allow these units. It's-
My understanding is he won't.
What's
Someone
that?
else may, he will not, but someone else may.
Well, I think if he really has a gap here, there's other ways to plug the gap. You know, than putting it on the degradation and the quality of affordable housing units in Reading. I mean, there are sources of money he could apply for. I mean, there's just a home ownership round of money that was available for this, and I don't know if he applied for that.
I don't think he is.
Okay. There's state resources, there's town money. There are a number of other places he could go.
So then, the question I would ask then is, does this development protect the neighbors better than something else?
I'm not so sure I don't know if that was really a question or.
No, that's a real
No,
question
I-
because, I don't know how much different it would be. I guess it would be unit count potentially. What would the difference be in a?
It could be unit count, and it doesn't have to be a friendly 40B. I mean,
Okay,
that's-
but how much could they
that's the
possibly do in this
Yeah,
building?
Yeah,
I don't think
because.
you get any more than what they've got in it.
You know, this is
Yeah.
pretty maxed out. It's a good plan, actually. It's ugly backside of the building.
And there's no entrance to the front, but for that, but for the front and rear of the
I
building,
don't think
it's
you
a
can
great
do
plan.
much more than this. If you have to have 10% 3 bedrooms now, that's what you're saying, that the HCD requirement is. There's not much more you can do here. So this is pretty much the plan. So in a 40B, how does that impact us negatively?
You know, what do you be plan out of?
Differently, how's that? An unfriendly 40B, how does that impact us negatively versus this plan? Circulation's gonna be the same, they're not gonna expand the building, other than the circulation expansion.
Well, another 40B would come in and might do just the 25% of the units as,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right, but
but
that's all
we'll
we're
be where we
getting.
are, because we'll
Yeah,
have
that's all we're
we'll have our
getting.
6 units uptown and.
No, I know.
Plus the
I know.
additional for swap,
but I'm getting your argument, there's a concern about, if you're going in the direction, there's a concern about a concentration of low-income units.
Well,
At 60%.
As a 40B, it wouldn't be that. I mean, it would just be
Look.
25.
That most likely, it could be, they could do 100% affordable, but most likely they would do 25.
Can they?
Sure you
Well,
could.
it would depend how the numbers come out. I know we got some emails or discussion with the state about 100%,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
there's ways of doing it. I think on 40Bs, they worry about it.
On a sale, on a condo type?
Well, that's the other thing. I
We
mean,
do
a
that.
condo project is, affordable condos is a very difficult project. You know, quite honestly, when I saw this, I just assumed it was rental, because that's what these buildings usually lend themselves to be. It's rental properties.
So this concept is.
And if Tid's worried about money on the property, there are lots of resources on the rental side to subsidize these units, to get him to the same place he needs without taking it out of the Johnson Woods development.
Understood.
So I think you can hear my frustration that we're being met with, it's one or the other, and there's six alternatives in between that were not explored or examined, and to put it all on us like that, I'm not happy about. You know, there are other avenues he could pursue to fill this gap, if there's a gap, because we have to assume there's a gap based on what you're telling us. So.
Well, what's our action at this point, if any?
Well, let's, you know, this isn't a public hearing, but there are people that are here, and I think in
Okay.
fairness, we should give them the opportunity to express their opinion. So we're happy to take comments at this. And so let me just remind folks, again, it's not a public hearing. But let's treat it as the same way, so if you could just have your comments address the board, and then if we have questions, we'll invite the respondent to, if we can't answer them, we'll ask the respondent to address them, but let's minimize the back and forth.
Sean Ferris, I'm at 183 Wooten Street, I live across the street from St. Agnes, it used to be the convent. And I feel that, you know, by putting 60% of affordable housing in there, as a real estate broker myself, when people coming into buying condos and they say, well, what's the ratio, like, you know, how many affordable units, and they see 60%, they just will walk away, and they're like, you know, they look at it, you know, a little differently, say, well, maybe it's, you know, it's low income and they can't afford to contribute to the condo association fees and, you know, certain things like that. And, you know, I try to tell them, like, well, it's not necessarily true, but, you know, it does, the ratio just doesn't help. Then you're gonna get people say, well, you know what, why am I paying $350 and then paying $130, and most 60% of people are in there, you know, so I'm for 40B. I think it's a good thing they put in if they stay within their check of 25%. I feel that, you know, when you guys gave permission for him to do affordable housing somewhere, he did the ratios of building Johnson Woods or something like that. It was permitted for that area, keep it in that area. You know, kind of spread it out so it's evenly holds up, you know. And I just feel that, in my opinion, I feel that 60% is just way too much to be putting in one area. And, you know, a developer is gonna come along, and no developer's gonna go 100% 40B, they're just not gonna do it. They're just gonna put the minimum in, because they need to get the maximum out for what they're gonna do. So if he doesn't do it, another developer will come along, and I know that, you know. I know there's multiple backup bids and offers on this property for other uses, and we might get a higher and best use out of it, other than just, we might get a commercial office type, you know, a better and, you know, green-friendly type of work office space that go in there, and where it's, you know, where that's commercial. The commercial end, it can be limited, but, you know, it's not, the taxes that are coming in are all taxes. It's not putting kids in the schools, you know, having an impact on the schools, when that's an expense. So let's see what else the church has to offer. I mean, they're in no hurry to sell it, but it could be developed into a better use.
Thank you. Anyone else? Sorry, you wanna go ahead?
Yeah, I'm Pat Lippett, and I live at 11 Temple. And I went to one of the meetings that they had, and I guess my concern was the numbers, because they were mentioned at that meeting that the one bedroom's gonna be like 800 or 900 square feet of space. And now tonight they were saying it's gonna be 1,100. Well, I don't know what the total square footage is on those three levels, but that's a big difference. And the fact that there's no outside space really, I mean, they're saying they're gonna put something in the front, but how do you even get to it? There's just driveway in and driveway out, and there's no quality of, you know, there's no patios, there's no outdoor space, et cetera. And so I would have a hard time recommending anybody to buy there. And that 60% really, my neighbors and myself were very concerned about why that higher percentage.
Tony?
Tony DeRosa, 130 John Street. I'm not in a butter to the site, but as I was watching tonight's program, I and my wife were concerned about the lack of diversity by moving these units from the current Johnson Woods to basically one building. It almost looks like, and I hate to use the phrase, you're creating almost a slum at that point. You're saying, okay, we're going to take all the affordables and stick them off to the side away from everybody. I thought one of the purposes of the 40B and for having integrated low-income housing was to actually spread out the diversity and, you know, show and have people, the rich, the poor, the middle class all living together. My concern would be that if this is allowed to go through, I could almost see the rest of the units being bought up by, say, Reading Commons and moving some of their low-income housing to the same development, and they would get the same break. So just on the portion of moving them out, moving the low-income housing out of Johnson Woods, I would oppose, recommend against. I don't know how to phrase it, but
We got it. We understand.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Could they explain the traffic pattern again?
I'm sorry, would you just mind telling us who you are? And-
Oh, I'm sorry, Jean Ferris, 183 Reuben Street.
Yeah.
If they could just explain the traffic
Yeah, would you
pattern, how
mind
they're
going through that
gonna
again?
exit onto Woburn.
Well, it's, yeah. Yeah, where the church exit is now would be the common exit for both.
Right, in so many ways, it's identical to the way it is right now.
Oh,
So
okay.
it has changed. Now, it is still the same entrance, I think across the street from you folks.
Right.
So the entrance would be off of the church side. We'll work on either side of the rectory and come around and exit, as well as for the residential use here, their entrance would be here adjacent to the property, and both sides will exit off in one location.
Okay, anything else?
There's some discussion just about reserving some number of spaces for the use by the church, special events.
That is correct.
Yeah,
Legally, is it do you want to get into that a bit?
Yeah, let me just pull up the plan here. Craig had put on the lower right-hand side of the drawing I handed out tonight, a breakdown on that. A total of 131 spaces on both sites. On the church site, there was 64, and we call St. Agnes Commons, but the school is 67. That's a total of 131. The church spaces would have 64 spaces on their own property, and they have a right to use 25 spaces on the common site, that is the school building. Those spaces would be available for holy days, weekends, and funerals. That would give the church a total of 89 parking spaces. There was a Board of Appeals decision that required that they have 96 spaces, so that part of this process would they'd have to go back to the zoning Board of Appeals, get permission to drop it from 96 down to 89. On the parking required for this school building by the current zoning, 35 spaces are required, and 42 would be provided by the layout.
Okay.
Okay.
So if I'm looking at this right, you could drop, you wouldn't necessarily want to do this, but if you had to, you could drop the number of spaces for St. Agnes Common down to the number that you're required to provide. So
Sure.
flip those 7 back over to the church. If I'm looking at the math right, and they would be in,
Oh, the extra spaces?
right.
Yes.
So if you're denied that, that's where you would go, so you
Yes.
could still do the project.
Some of the conversation dealt with visitors and that sort of thing,
Yeah.
and that's why it
Yeah.
was structured that way.
Yep. And how will you go about, sort of enforcing that or regulating that?
Since it is a condominium, there's a condominium association that has the power enforcement over the unit owners, can impose fines. The idea would be to probably designate by painting or signage those that the church had the right to use.
Yeah,
There'd be circulation of notice given.
yeah,
The church had agreed to give notice at the beginning of each year of the days in which the holy days are following, so that the management can go ahead and let the unit owners know
Yeah.
that they can't park.
and so they'd be designated, this is a condo space, it would say,
That's correct.
right, all the condo users probably have their own space.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, anything else? Jeff, did you have anything? So, I guess there's a couple things. One is that, you're coming to us for this change of the permit. I guess we have to take that up.
That's what we'd have to do. I mean, this meeting was to get feedback, which I've obviously heard.
Okay,
I plan to give a memo to Ted and report back to him as to what I've heard. And then he has to decide if this seems viable, and what he wants to do in that regard. So I think you've made your opinion clear, each of you, and I've heard the neighbors as well.
Okay.
So I think that, I don't think there's anything further required, or I'm asking for you at this time.
Okay. And then I guess I would say on the plans, you know, to me, when you say friendly 40B, means that, you know, even though you're not subject required to do the site plan review, that we would go through the process and that you would be, try to accommodate as many of the requests as possible. So I guess I would be really encouraged to hear that that you're thinking about some of these things that we brought up, both particularly in regard to the front and the rear entrance, and thinking about ways to make them more attractive, and in the front, some way to try to tie it in more, to make it tie in with the street, so putting its back, having the building put its back to the street. So, anything else people want to add? Anything I didn't capture? Gene or Jesse?
Thank you for your time.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Planning updates and other business, I think we're ready for.
Yeah, just real quick, the library, we have scheduled to come back tentatively for June 9th, so that's a Monday. I don't know how likely that will be. We had a conference call following this meeting last week, and there was a meeting tonight, so there's a lot more discussion about what's going on with the library. And
So you don't think they're gonna be ready by the 9th? Is that your,
if I had to bet,
yeah,
make me bet,
bet?
I
wanna hear
bet
an
it's
opinion.
probably not on the 9th. So.
So if it's not on the 9th, you're gonna bring donuts? Is that what I heard?
That's
Is that what I heard?
maybe what's gonna happen, yeah.
I thought I heard that.
So if they can't make the 9th, then it'll be the 23rd.
Okay.
We need everything, if they are gonna make the 9th, we told them we need everything by noon time on June 4th.
Okay.
So that'd be next Wednesday, we need everything for submittal, so.
Yeah, you know, on that point, right? So years ago, when there was a lot of development going on in town, folks would come in with stuff last minute, and, you know, there was a number of times where we said, no, we're not taking it, because it's not really fair to us to go review stuff last minute. And then things slowed down, it wasn't as big of an issue, and we were being business friendly, and so we started sort of almost as a normal course of business, accepting stuff the day of the meeting. And I guess, again, it's not really fair to us, and to be expected to react to it, and in some cases, it seems fine, but I think if you guys can stress that we're doing them that there is a date, and that, you know, that it's not normal course of business to submit stuff on the day of the meeting. I'm kind of stepping over your bounds here as
No, that's all right.
But, and maybe we will, but it's doing them more of a favor than it is required. Because it seems to be creeping in again.
It's more likely to result in continuing the hearing, because we might feel we were missing something, or that we
Yeah.
didn't cover something, and then they're gonna have to come back.
So I just wanted to put that out there.
Right.
And it's not a criticism of
No,
you,
no.
because I know you're trying to do, you know, move stuff along, and that's all good.
It's
and-
like a high wire act, really.
I know, it's, I
But we don't wanna go too far in the other direction.
Yeah.
Right.
Because we do wanna be business friendly. We don't wanna be like, oh, you didn't have it, we're not gonna see it. If it's something simple and easy, or just to follow up on what Nick said, say, well, you know, I'm gonna put it in front of the board, but just so you know, this is gonna gonna
You may
likely be
wasting
continued
all
because.
your engineer, you may be paying your engineers and your lawyers to come to a meeting for nothing.
Right,
Yep.
Right.
so at your own risk.
Yeah.
Well, we were very clear with the library that we needed it,
Yeah.
you know, the Wednesday before the Monday. So, so that's what's going on with the library. The, other projects, I think I mentioned, we've got some outdoor seating that got approved, so that's great for Diamici's and for Orange Leaf. I'll be meeting with them tomorrow morning to follow up with, some of the things that they, were conditioned on by the Board of Selectmen in terms of, street furniture and making sure it's consistent with the downtown and that kind of thing. Diamici's is gonna have 3 tables and 6 seats, and it's gonna be up against their storefront. And Orange Leaf will have a bench. So I just wanna make sure whatever they're choosing and selecting will be in keeping with some of the styles and fabrics of the street furniture that we have out there now. So that's for outdoor dining. Obviously, Diamici's opened a couple of weeks ago. They're doing super great, busy, lines out the door. Everybody's thrilled, so that's really a nice new business
This
on
is
Main
excellent.
Street. Yeah, really nice. And
Well, I don't think they were prepared for the volume of
I
business
know.
because they're woefully understaffed to deal with the,
it's a nice problem to have.
yeah. Well, if you're not, unless you're in line, unless you're in line waiting for the food, it's not so nice.
Have they had deliveries yet? Do we know how the whole back of the house is working for that building?
I don't know.
That's
Not in
good,
your window.
Yeah,
right? Because if you don't know, that means it hasn't really
Haven't
been
heard
a
anything.
big problem. So.
haven't heard anything. Yeah.
I did see I saw a big 18-wheeler on Main Street that I was gonna mention to you
Oh,
about.
really?
Yes, for what business? What was it?
You mean the one in front of Dunkin' Donuts, up on South Main Street?
No,
The
I did
park.
not see that one.
That didn't even pull in. It was parked, I actually almost called, but I was like, whatever. It was parked on Main Street, unloading stuff and wheeling it into, it was 7:30, 8 o'clock in the
Wow.
morning. I mean, rush hour.
Wow. I wonder why the police didn't get down there and,
Anytime like that, call the police. They tell me anytime there's anything weird going on with deliveries or whatever.
Yeah, happened on the way up here today. Truck parked in front of Pizza Road delivering soda, blocking the entire lane.
Yeah, that one does it all the time.
All the time.
Puts a cone out.
I know.
Very nice of them.
yeah,
Oh, you had a cone, okay.
yeah.
You're okay.
That's so you don't plow in the back of him. It's not about you,
That's
it's
right.
about him.
Yeah.
All right, sorry,
No, that's okay.
Yes.
So the only one that's a little bit slower, the bank's open, the bakery's open, Orange Leaf's been open. The one last tenant along that Main Street facade that is slowly moving is Bunratty Tavern. Not exactly sure what's going on with that, but
I keep getting asked, where are they?
the owner was down there the other day, so he was there, but he didn't have any crew or anything, so just slow.
Well, any Irish pub in that whole block is very difficult to put in. From Woburn Street down around.
Little thing called a recession there, Nick, now come on.
No, in the time that other restaurant couldn't get in, we had 3 or 4 restaurants come in.
All right.
We did have a very nice ribbon cutting for all those businesses, which was great. Then we had another one last week for the fitness that was before us. What's it called? Fitness? Pure Fitness, thank you. And they have a very nice, she did a beautiful job. Everything is very organic and cork floor. And so if you're down that way and you have a chance to go poke your head in, it's really a different and unique concept, and she's doing some very interesting things in there, plus spa type services. So it's a nice feature I think for that section of the downtown. And now with the nail person going in and doing nails in a very natural way, it's sort of got its own little personality down there, which is kind of nice.
And there's the nail, the other place right next to Leo's, but that's also a nail. Or
Bolea.
no, it's a makeup place, right?
Yeah, Bolea, she's cosmetics.
Yeah.
Yeah, very unusual.
You have your nails done, your makeup, and
Yep.
your haircut, we're all
Yep.
right there.
I love it.
Beauty corner.
Yeah, yeah, and, so we're very excited that they're all coming
The
in.
ugliest building.
So they're all great. Snap Fitness has been open, I'm not sure how busy they are, but, you know, and the other gym opened up on Main Street, Fitness Within. I think if they're not open, they're getting close to open, where the old bath shop used to be, Metro Bath.
They're open, they have a sign up.
They're open?
We're
Yeah.
open.
So,
Good.
yeah.
And anything, it's spring, perfectos should be in the ground. No weather delays
Dunno.
there.
You saw what happened with Pizza World there. They put the brakes on for now, so that's disappointing.
And you would say, well, that's us, I mean, they keep continuing, but they're done?
They withdrew. They withdrew.
Withdrew.
Yeah.
Shoot. He owns the site now?
He owns it, yeah.
He's said he's looking into other options. We're not quite sure what that means, but what he had proposed just won't work.
That's good.
Yeah.
It won't work because he has a limited budget that he wants to stay within, right? And what he's proposing is over that.
There's that, and I think he's still working with his LSP to get the site closed out.
Oh, do that.
Right.
Thanks.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of risk there that I think he's.
I thought that was taken care of before.
Yeah, he shouldn't
not
take it.
completely.
No.
He shouldn't be taking that risk. I thought it was always on the seller.
Once you enter the chain of title, you're in.
You gotta do your due diligence.
I told him to go see if Bank of America would put their ATM on his site, and he could build his little restaurant on Bank of America's site.
Ah, there you go. What else you got for
Problem
us?
solved.
Yeah. All in a day's work.
That's basically it.
Except for total lack of parking.
There's Gene with the chessboard around it.
He's the solution.
Takes the Reading chessboard and moving all the pieces. You could go over here and you go over here and
Anybody know anyone at Bank of America?
done. All right. All right, are we good? Is there anything else to discuss?
Well, there was a table of uses that the zoning advisory committee wanted the CPDC to kind of take another look at, and specifically in regards to the idea of residential uses in business B.
So we said no and they want us to say yes.
Because of the idea that we have an overlay that
That's one way to
allows
put
it,
it.
so,
Because what?
because we have the overlay that allows it, and they figure
The difference is, right, the overlay allows it as a second floor, well, it doesn't specifically say that, or maybe it does, but the idea is that it's residential on the second floor and above. And we were sort of arm twisted by DHCD to require it 100%.
Yeah.
Right? And the hope is that no one takes us up on that provision, because what we don't want is our precious few commercially zoned properties to turn residential.
Right.
We really don't, we want to keep as much, it's a rare commodity in town. So, so that's really the rationale behind
Yeah.
saying no to just pure on residential by right, is because then someone will go residential and we'll lose another commercial
A
property.
prime piece of property coming up potentially, and why would we give that one up, right? The post office site goes for sale, and then what happens there? There's all that commercial space. We don't want that.
So,
Is there anything we're missing from
is
the
there
Zach?
something we're missing?
No, I don't think so.
All right.
I think they just, I think it was
They weren't
brought up,
thinking
they
of it
weren't
that way.
sure,
Yeah.
you know, why would we allow it in the overlay and not the base
Better
zoning?
controls
We
and
talked about
overlay.
Green Street a bit. Were we talking,
Yeah,
is that
I mean-
like the example we were looking at?
Basically, I mean, it would be nice from the Zach point of view, if we could soften the non-conforming constraints for the existing stuff
Well, we can.
in Business B.
I think that's something we definitely have. I know John's made that point, to be able to work with those little cottages that are in the downtown. If they want to put a deck on, that they don't have to go to the zoning board.
Yeah.
Right.
We've
I mean,
started
they
to
are
look at that.
so non-conforming that there's almost nothing you could do to fix it. You just have to you have to be lenient with them, you have to build in something, right? I mean, the postage stamp sized lots don't come anywhere near the requirements for the,
Right.
for the minimum size.
Anything else on that?
And so I guess I don't think allowing residential it solves that, brings them more into conformance.
Yeah, but it was just a, you know, that's what we're aiming at.
Definitely.
Yeah, the other thing, and I guess it's a question for you, Gene, the current draft of the table of uses, which is a lot of it my own fault, has the agricultural, horticulture, blah, 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 on 5+ acres. It has it not permitted in spaces where it's not permitted only because there isn't 5+ acres there. But isn't that one of the things which is exempt from 40A by state law or something, agricultural uses?
Which page are you looking on, Dave?
It's page 112 of the thing, but it's the other uses under
Yeah.
business and
So
industrial.
you're saying that the no's in business A, B, C, and the PUD overlay?
Yeah, I mean, it's the kind of thing that we may need to change those to yes with a little note saying that, you know, state law exempts this from zoning, but there is no such place.
We'll take another look at that.
Okay. I wouldn't want the Attorney General to bounce us on something that we should have known better.
Okay.
When's your next meeting?
Wednesday, Monday,
Monday.
when?
Monday.
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday. We're good?
I think we're good.
Need one more thing.
You wanna look at the minutes?
Not particularly.
I was thinking of that.
I wasn't thinking of that.
Okay,
Can we,
I'll just reverse that statement.
we need to get you guys home. It's
Move
late.
to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
You weren't looking for
Good
1
night.
o'clock?
What's that?
You weren't looking for a 1 o'clock?
I know, we gotta start making that, earning that back.